And we're back. Welcome back to another episode of Pixels and Pints. I am one of your hosts this evening, Tom. With me, Pete.
Howdy.
And Dan.
Hi. You put on your best love song dedications voice that time.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be cruising through your Monday night, listening to some lovely tunes. Now I'm leaning into it. Well done. What are we reviewing tonight? We're doing, a couple of us are having some beers. We're going to have some talks about all the news from Comic-Con. Got a couple of trailers. Talk about games, comics, movies, everything. And whatever's in between.
We're going to talk about everything and everything in between. And
very complex topic.
Dan forgot to change his calendar over last month, so he's only just realised that he skipped Dry July, so he's doing a 1-day detox in as just a tip of the hat to Dry July. That's Dan's Dry July. He won't be drying beers tonight.
I don't believe in Dry July. I believe in the good cause that it goes for, but just either fucking do it or don't do it. Like you don't need what's these
alcoholism doesn't have a
sober
calendar as far as I'm
October.
concerned.
It's like there's a fucking acronym, not an acronym. There's a fucking slang. Look, you got me on a rant, and we haven't even started anything.
And he's not even drinking.
So does that mean that is that why you didn't come to my Christmas in July party, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. Dave, the sales manager for New South Wales sales manager for Ben Spoke. He would always fucking say to me, "Oh, I'm doing like sober October." Like there was something for like every month. I'm like, Dave, you tell me this fucking every month, and you last like
just say
10
your teetotal
days.
and move on.
Yeah, it's like either stop drinking or slow it down. You don't have to like ban yourself every time it comes to some month with something on. Anyway, yes, continue.
Well,
Continue while I do my part that I should have done earlier and fucking fill in the run sheet.
Cool. Do you want to kick off with some beers, Tom, just to add some irony to all of that rant?
Well, yeah, I'm going to have to drink if he keeps going on those ones. I am drinking tonight for my first beer. Earth Beer Company from up northern New South Wales, Byron Way. It is their Mango Weisse beer. It's 4.2%. And it's just what do they say? They use the mangoes from their 100-year-old mango tree that's located on the farm the brewery's on. So,
did you say Far North Queensland?
It is no, Byron, Far North New South Wales.
Oh, Far North New South Wales.
Yes.
That's weird.
It is
territory.
a nice looking, pretty much, yeah, influencer territory. It's I quite like the design of the can though. I like that label. I think that label's pretty cool.
It is.
It's horribly lined up at the back, but that's fine. We'll give them that one.
That was stoned when they were putting the labels on. Man, it's all good.
It's not the biggest mango hit in a Mango Weisse. Like more of that Weisse is coming through. Like it's. I would expect probably a bit more of that juiciness of the mangoes going off what they're saying on the back. It is they did say it's their summer seasonal release, and it was packaged on the 10th of March. But yeah, so it's a little older. But yeah, the mango's just not really there. It's there, but it's not really there. But it's quite refreshing. It's good, and yeah, I'd give it a solid 4 pixels out of 5 pints. Let's go with that.
Cool.
Well done, Tom. You did good.
Okay. So I'm continuing on my little historic beer journey that I started last episode. So I'm drinking Slow Lane Brewing's Regal Authority, which is a 16th century Weisse beer. I presume that's 16th century style, not brewed in the 16th century, because I'm pretty sure it'd be off by now. They've used, obviously it's wheat and Pilsner for the malt, Magnum hops, and a German wheat and Brettanomyces yeasts. Because I'm such a non-nerd when it comes to beer, it would have been helpful if I thought this through and just had a normal.
I was
Weisse
wondering
beer
where that was
next
going,
to the
but
16th century.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys feel free to finish that sentence in far more offensive ways. Because I'm such a. But no, it's good. It is very bready. It's very dry. Yeah, we don't want to use the C-bomb button this early. And you're also muted, Dan.
That's why I was saying it. Because I was muted.
Right.
Friendship.
Yeah, really bready.
Oh, no,
Really dry.
I'd say it to him. It just wasn't fit for the public ears.
I hear. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a wheat beer, so it tastes like a wheat beer. It's exactly what you'd expect, but almost mouth puckeringly dry. So, just very crisp, almost apple cider crisp and apple cider dry, if that makes sense. It's good. Not knowing what to expect, I can only give it a 4, I suppose. Barrel aged for 4 months and naturally soured through the microflora living in the wood. There you go.
Yeah, nice. I've got to try more slow lane stuff. Every time you've spoken about them, and I mean I had their Riwaka Hazy Pale, and that was the last one I had of theirs, and that was probably at least 6 to 8 months ago, and it was fantastic. And I haven't had any of their traditional styled ones, so I really do need to pull my finger out and grab some of them.
Yeah, no, it's they've done some really cool stuff. I love the fact that they are bringing back or rebrewing really old school traditional recipes in a world where we're moving further and further away from the definition of beer. It's certainly changing. It's cool to see them bringing back some old school stuff.
Yeah, what was Liam talking about to us yesterday? Blueberry bubblegum something. I'm like, fuck.
Smoothies.
Oh, schmoozy.
Yeah. No. Let's kick off with some news, shall we?
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Let's get this
Shitload
party
of news.
started.
Sad news first.
Sad news first?
KOTOR's delayed.
Oh, yes. KOTOR is delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of the leads got let go because they presented, apparently, from the bits and pieces I've read, one, Tom, the bit that you sent through, and then I looked a little bit further into it, that the game dev team presented a demo that they were really happy with to the who's the people?
Executives.
The company that pays them to make the money.
Investors?
Yeah. Distributors, whatever the parent company is of them, and they weren't happy with it. And it's like, okay, it's like, what are you trying to do with this? If the dev team's happy with it,
It's a remake, isn't it?
It's a remake, but it's a ground up remake, and like it's quite. I'm going to get into it later on because it's one of the ones on my list, and I've played the first one, the first half of it, a couple of times, and never the end of it. And I've played the second one.
I've never played KOTOR.
I've played the second one through all the way a couple of times, and I always go back to them. So they are going to revamp the combat gameplay because it is very outdated. It is very of its time.
Right.
They're going to have to do. I mean, they're rebuilding all the maps and everything from ground up. They're going to have to redo all the voice acting. It's an absolute 110% ground up rebuild, and more than I know they're calling it a remake, but I reckon it's going to be more of a reimagining than an actual remake of the original game. And
Kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, and I wonder. I'd love to know whether the devs were leaning more into a remake than a reimagining, and the execs were more imagining something that was more a reimagining with like microtransactions and a whole bunch of shit thrown in there. So I'd love to know what that was. But 2 of the leads have been let go, and but it's now been potentially.
One was an art director, and there was something else like that. But like senior art director, and
So that's a big bummer. I was really looking forward to that, but it is what it is, and
it was ambitious for Aspire too. So Aspire Entertainment's the company behind it, and they've really just done straight ports like of the old Star Wars games. So they did.
I think we talked about that a couple of episodes ago. Actually, what they've
because they did Republic Commando, they did Episode 1 Racer. They've been bringing all the old games and onto modern, but they're straight ports. Like it still plays like it did, on the 64. It still looks like 64 graphics. Just runs now on the engine. So it was ambitious for them to go, hey, we're going to actually do this from the ground up. But hey, they said now it was meant to come out. They were planning for this year or next year, and now they're looking more like 2025. So hopefully they get around to actually making it, because I'd be so keen to jump back into that, especially a reimagined version.
And the amount of hours that you drop into those original ones too, and I know it's probably more hours you drop into them because the combat was a lot slower. It wasn't fast-paced in any way, shape, or form. But I think that there's still 100 hours there of running around in the Old Republic and learning that story of Revan and all that. It's there's a lot of meat there, and if they were going to remake it, hopefully that meant it was going to come into canon as well. But see what happens.
We'll have to wait and see. And then the other one was the game that no one asked for, the Lord of the Rings Golem game, has also been delayed.
Oh, did it get delayed? Did it?
Yeah, they've pushed it back. It was just kind of like, I don't know, when they first announced that, I was like, of all the characters, like a little sneaking, like, Metal Gear Solid sneak, like stealth game.
It's like a thief
based
game.
around Golem. Yeah, it's just
there's already a little sneaky goblin game called Styx, and there's two of them. The first one was pretty good. I haven't heard much good about the second one, but the first one was pretty good. And he is a golem-sized character, not in the Lord of the Rings world, but he's a sneaky, stabby little goblin dude, and that's what he does. And like that was exactly what I had in my head for this Golem game. That was pretty much what it was going to be, but.
The rock and
it looks like it literally looks like you're just gonna be. It's a crawling simulator. That's what it looks like to me. Like just crawling around, like
so juicy, sweet.
Anyway,
you did that way too many times.
Yeah,
over your lifetime.
What? Just now on the podcast or over my life?
No.
I'm not
over
sure.
your lifetime.
You're telling me I only took me 5 seconds, and you're saying it's old.
To have gotten it down pat that much. Sorry, I'm getting heaps of lag from you guys. It's my internet's obviously fucking shocking.
It's probably downloading Steam updates for all your.
Oh shit, Steam is open. I just opened it up before. Yeah. No, nothing there.
Yeah. Okay. Don't know. Maybe your wife's watching Netflix or something. It's the problem with the fucking national broadband network. Our internet's fucked thanks to our government. I used to sit there and practice the soliloquy between what's his name and Golem.
Schmeagol.
He's all Schmeagol. Thank you. I don't know how that slipped my mind. Yeah, just for fun. Anyway, big news from the San Diego Comic Con. Is it San Diego? Yeah, it was. And the biggest news that came out of it, because there was shitloads, was Marvel's revealed the entirety of Phase 5. So Phase 4 is done. Thor, Love and Thunder was the last release title in Phase 4. So they've told us everything they're giving us in Phase 5, and then they've given us 3 titles in Phase 6 so far, which is kind of surprising because Phase 6 isn't slated to start until 2024, like towards the end of 2024.
That's not that far away.
True on it, like
it's only 2
yes,
years.
and at the same time, considering we've got like 30 fucking titles in Phase 5, it's quite a lot of movies away.
And is that everything in that little map you've dropped in there? There's that's TV shows and movies.
Yes, correct. And look, a lot of these are TV shows. So we start with Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, February 17, and like as you said, Tom, that's where we're going to meet Kang again, or re-meet Kang. I think he's the big bad for that movie. Yeah. We've got actually, I should mention Phase 4 still has a couple of titles yet to drop. So She-Hulk is part of Phase 4, my understanding.
Was that waiting for confirmation, or was that?
It must be. Yeah, it kind of was because it's not on the slate. So,
well, yeah, there's a few more things to come out this year. So I would assume they're kind of the tail end of Phase 4.
Yeah, I was
Phase 4.5.
I was under the impression that Thor: Love and Thunder was maybe that's just the last movie.
I think that might be the last big film. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because you do have the I Am Groot miniseries, She-Hulk. I think there might be.
Actually, no. Sorry, Black Panther: Wakanda's the last one.
Oh, is that a movie?
That's the last movie.
I thought it was a series.
Yeah. No.
Ah.
No. Wakanda Forever's the next movie. Yeah.
It looks good.
Oh well, this is clearly
Yeah, so no, that's going to be the end of Phase
amateur
4.
hour because I missed all of that. I don't know why I missed all that. That's really weird. Sorry, listeners. And that they have changed it, right? So Fantastic Four got pushed back. That was originally put on the Phase 4 map, as was Blade. So, or at least they were announced and confirmed. But anyway, they moved everything around. Thanks, COVID. Fuck you. So Phase 5, we get Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania in February. We get Secret Invasion, which I believe is a Disney Plus TV series.
Nick Fury, baby, and the Skrulls.
That's spring.
And shit.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in May next year. The Echo TV series, where we know Charlie Cox. I think we talked about that last episode. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are reprising their roles. Obviously, Charlie Cox is in She-Hulk as well, so that kind of establishes him in the MCU to continue in Echo.
Wasn't there news a little while back too that John Barthenthal, however you pronounce his last name, was going to come back through as the Punisher as well?
I'm not sure if it was confirmed or if it was just
fans
hoping.
Didn't see
fan
that.
Those flames, fan those rumors.
I would love for him to come back as Punisher. He was perfect for it. And that guy's just fucking hit goals for everything that he's been in recently too. Loki Season 2, summer 2023, along with The Marvels, which The Marvels, is that a movie or a TV series? I thought it was TV.
That is a movie.
Okay.
Which if you guys have finished Miss Marvel, it leads directly into that.
That was excellent, by the way. Like the finale for Miss Marvel was excellent. Blade, November 3rd, 2023, along with the Ironheart series in fall. So that's another Disney Plus series.
We should point out that these seasons are Northern Hemisphere seasons we're referring to as well.
Correct. Yeah, you're right.
When we say spring and summer, it's...
What's Ironheart?
Yeah.
Ironheart is a young girl who in comics managed to reverse engineer an Iron Man suit and then took over from Tony Stark.
Yep.
And they're going to lean heavily into a Wakandan connection, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would presume so, because his final suit was very Wakandan heavy as well, from memory. Like a lot of the tech had been adapted. Agatha Covens of Chaos, which is the movie in winter 2000.
No, that's the show.
Is it?
Show. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Well, fuck. Winter 2023-24. So that's going to be Christmas time, basically. Then we lead into Daredevil Born Again, Disney Plus series. That's going to be Charlie Cox's kind of series. They're also talking about the reimagining of the Daredevil character. The suit that they've already kind of leaked images of is more the red and yellow suit from some of the comic runs. Who's rotating the images?
I knew it was Dan.
We're on a... So, for those listening, we're on a run sheet, and Dan's just decided to randomly rotate the fucking image that we're reading from.
So, yes, at the end of the She-Hulk trailer, you see the red and yellow Daredevil suit, which I think is fucking cool.
Are you putting back
Captain
or am I
America
putting
New
it back?
World Order. No, I put it back. It's just delayed. Okay. You shouldn't be doing anything that eats more internet bandwidth, sucker. Captain America New World Order, May 3rd, 2024, and then Thunderbolts in July 2024. That's Phase 4. That's Phase 5. That's a pretty fucking big lineup for what amounts to 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot back to back.
Thunderbolts kind of caps it off.
Yeah. Well, then we get into Phase 6, and interestingly, the only three things that they have confirmed so far is Fantastic Four in November 2024. Yep. And then two Avengers movies back to back. So Avengers: The Kang Dynasty in May, and then Avengers: Secret Wars in November
of 2025.
Of 2025, that's right. So, but to get two Avengers films in the same year is pretty crazy, really.
I mean, if you think about it, Thunderbolts is kind of an Avengers film, just
true
Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, and they're all, I mean, so much of what we're watching, I mean, so much of Phase 5 is built around the core Avengers. I mean, She-Hulk went, and 4, so you've got Thor, you've got She-Hulk, you've got, and obviously Hulk's in She-Hulk. You got Captain America in Phase 5, so it's all still built around the Avengers, like Phases 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. It's a big lineup, and I'm glad that we're starting to see some new characters come in that, again, are going to kind of shake up the party dynamic, if you like, for the core group.
Yeah.
So we've had a few exit. It's interesting to see what talent they're bringing in to kind of replace the personalities and how that's going to influence the dynamics for established characters that are still in the series. I think that's kind of cool.
It's funny to see that a lot of people after Endgame were saying, "Oh, they'll bring Tony Stark back and this and that, and he'll be their AI, or there'll be some version of Tony Stark in there." And the new series, the new series, and they've just gone, "No, they're not. They're dead. That's it. They're done. They're not coming back. We're not doing a retread of the comic books where everybody has a million lives.
They need to move forward.
And like, absolute props to them for sticking to their guns and
having the balls
and going with this and being creative enough
and killing off the character that launched the MCU. I mean, he is the first.
But I mean,
MCU
they had to. I mean, that was the ideal way to do it, and just to bring in more likable characters as you flow along, and just not make people forget about those characters that came beforehand, but like you were saying, have the dynamics there, but elevate it and move it to the next phase, and keep pushing on rather than continuously looking backwards. Sorry, Star Wars. Continuously looking backwards, moving forwards, and it's something we really haven't seen to this scale ever before.
Yeah, I mean, it's redefined Hollywood.
Did come out over the weekend though. I don't know if you saw that article that Jon Favreau actually argued against killing him off. He was like, "You can't." Yeah, he was trying to argue the Russo brothers to keep him alive at the end rather than kill him off. But I agree. I'm glad. Like, I'm not glad that they killed the character off. I think it's definitely has that more impactful meaning in that, to have him as that kind of, he did his sacrifice and everyone moves forward for him. But yeah.
Well, they've got to create room. He was
lineup.
such a big personality, such a big character, and he was so important to the MCU that, like, they have already started and can continue to play off the back of the tragedy of his loss, which helps push the plot forward. But they had to create the vacuum by taking him out, so that other personalities could kind of step up to the plate. Cool. Should we move on to PSplus, Tom? I don't know why you announced this, because I don't find it all that interesting. Look at the free
it's not
games.
about you.
Little Nightmares is good, man.
Yes, there's the three new games. These are the games you get to keep if you keep your PlayStation, you down PS Plus, and you download them. Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, the remake. So, that defined many of my friends' kind of gaming generation. They all started on Tony Hawk's. That's how most of them got into gaming. Yakuza Like a Dragon looks insane.
I've
heard really good things about it though, so I actually might give that a crack. And then I haven't heard much about Little Nightmares, but it's a little indie platformer.
Yeah, side-scrolling platformer. The art style's great, and the levels are really good. It's really monstrous and over the top, and it's almost got that really creepy Wallace and Gromit feel to it with some of the monsters. They some of them look like they could be claymation puppets, and just how the art style is really, really great.
They are kind of fucking creepy, aren't they?
And I really enjoyed it. I played it all the way through over a couple of days, and just really enjoyed it. Haven't jumped into 2 yet, because it can be played 2-player, or you play both of them. I don't know, but I will play it. I will play it eventually at some stage. But with Little Nightmares is well worth it. It's fun, little creepy little platformer.
There you go. And they PlayStation also announced there the PlayStation Stars loyalty program, which is the second time they've tried to do a little loyalty program. They did one I think it was PS Rewards they called it, but it seemed to only really take off in the US. But yeah, this one's, you
was-
play certain games. If you get certain trophies or you're the first one to platinum a new release, you get credits on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, so it translates to real money in terms of cost savings. It's not real money; they're not paying you, but yeah, reduce the cost of
beneficial.
And considering, I'm pretty sure you can buy hardware on the PlayStation Store if you access it from the internet, like from a PC. I don't know if that'll translate to being able to buy hardware or order hardware at a discount rate. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be very cool.
Save $100 off your PlayStation VR2 or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple of
what's next?
Yeah, a couple of losses, unfortunately. So Bernard Cribbins played the Donna's father in Doctor Who. So he was a really important character in David Tennant's Doctor Who. He was the old man that was ultimately, and we're talking like a decade, so spoilers if you haven't fucking seen it, but he was ultimately responsible for David Tennant's Doctor dying. David Tennant actually, from memory, sacrificed himself and absorbed the radiation that the grandfather took, and ultimately led to saving him but killing Tennant's doctor. So Bernard Cribbins passed away, and Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura from the original Star Trek, has also passed away. I think she was late 80s, 89 something. A bit of sad news. A couple of, if you're a Doctor Who fan, then it's important. If you're not, then probably not. He was in a lot of BBC kind of English stuff, and certainly Nichelle Nichols is well fucking known. So a bit of a sad note. And I found this next piece of news really interesting in terms of how good we have it and how easy it is for us to take it for granted how good our society actually is in Australia or in probably America as well. The Indonesian government has just blocked a bunch of online services. They've basically created a raft of new laws that says that if you operate an online service that's accessible by Indonesian citizens, then you have to sign up to this new law that allows the government to tell these streaming companies when they find content that is considered to be unlawful, according to their communications ministry, and give those streaming companies 24 hours to remove the unlawful material. And if they deem it urgent, they get 4 hours to remove that unlawful material. So as a result, a bunch of companies said, fuck you, we're not signing up to this bill. And so the Indonesian government has now blocked access to 240 million people in Indonesia from accessing shit like... So in the video games context of the podcast, Steam, Epic Game Store, Nintendo Online, Electronic Arts, and Ubisoft's platforms have all just been shut down. But they also shut down PayPal and Yahoo, amongst a bunch of others. Government just said, well, if you don't sign up to our rules, then fuck you, we're shutting you down. Now,
I'd be very interested to see what they deem as unlawful.
Well, it's whatever they like, and these companies have said, well, it's not so much that we've got a problem removing unlawful stuff, but it affects everyone equally. Like, we're not a region-based service, not country-based, they are region-based. And to give us 4 hours to say, I don't like that you had digital boobs in that game that you just published to Steam Early Access, so please remove it. Like, that's pretty hardcore in terms of demands. And it is a big deal considering, like I wrote down, Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world. 270 million people, so it is a big deal.
Yeah. What dicks?
What dicks?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Well, they did have a bit of a
on.
coup not that long ago. So that doesn't surprise me. Yes. We don't need to get political.
Yeah, I was going to say, not touching it. You want to
stand by my comments?
You want to? Well, hang on. Indonesia coup? No, I think you're thinking Thailand. Didn't Thailand have the coup? Indonesia hasn't had a coup since the 60s.
It was something about the Imelda Marcos. The Marcos family got kicked out, and they had to get away or something. Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't. It was a forcible change of leadership. It wasn't a true coup. Thailand had a coup in 2014. It was Like, that's when the armed forces takes over the government and just says, fuck you, I've got a tank. And
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what... Anyway, I'm not speaking out of turn. Let's get away from this landmine of crap that we know nothing about.
Fair enough. You had to go and mention landmines. Let's talk about Saints Row.
I was trying so hard not to.
I knew you were, Tom. I could read your body language.
Yeah. Rambo, great film. Yes, Saints Row, the new Saints Row reboot. I guess you would call it Saints Row 5, but they've taken all the zany aliens and hell and superpowers out, and it's gone back to what it started out as, which was a
kind of a
GTA
gangster
ripoff.
Yeah.
I
put
they're still keeping some of the zaniness by the looks of things, but
I put it in the news because I know you guys played it and we've talked about it before. I've never played any of the Saints Row games, so
yeah, I played 3 and 4 and then Gat Out of Hell. They're fun, they're fun games, but 4 was just so far from.
That was the aliens and shit, wasn't it?
And and you were the president of the world, and you had superpowers, which was great fun. Like wall running up buildings was very enjoyable, or like through garbage trucks. But this one's gone back to ground level kind of. Well,
zany
ground level, but it's zany gangsters. Yeah, they're all about the customization. But I'll eventually
probably
give it a try. I think.
I'll probably jump in. We're
very fun.
I won't jump in day one, but pretty close. So I'll jump in as soon as I'm finished what I'm playing. It's the next on my list because I don't have much else. So I'll jump in.
Yeah, cool.
As long as the controls are pretty tight. The controls were always a lot looser than what they were in GTA. So some more solid, tighter shooting mechanics and things like that will make it the longevity of it go, and the zaniness will make it just fun to start, I guess.
Yeah, as long as I get a giant dildo baseball bat again that I can whack people across the head with, then
I did remember that correctly. Yeah, MGM loses the rights to Tomb Raider. So apparently MGM owned the rights and were responsible for the 2018 Tomb Raider film release starring Alicia Vikander. They had
a pretty faithful movie to the game as well.
They had until I think it was May or June to start filming on their next movie, or else they lost the IP rights and they didn't film. So
they couldn't greenlight it.
Film rights have reverted back to Crystal Dynamics, who are currently shopping the IP rights out, and apparently a lot of studios are interested in buying them. So they have already confirmed we're getting a Tomb Raider reboot. They just don't have a studio attached to it yet. They haven't decided who they're going to sell it to. So I guess if 3 or 4 studios are throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at you to buy the IP, then you know you're getting a fucking movie, because they wouldn't be buying it if they weren't going to make a movie.
Yeah.
So
well, hopefully the movie they make, if they stick to the game kind of current slog of games, the last 3, hopefully it's more like the third and less like the Michael Bay explosions that was the second.
Yeah.
Bit more archaeology would be nice. Not destroying every tomb she walks into would also be good.
Well, that wouldn't be very faithful to the games, though, would it?
Well, it'd be faithful to 3, not to 2. 2 is I swear somehow Michael Bay walked in. He's like, you know what, guys, blow this shit up. It'll be awesome. Everyone will love it. They'll get right behind it.
Yep.
Fucking idiot.
And then the last piece of news is just another example of fuck Ezra Miller, basically. So, and hopefully I explain this properly, because otherwise it's going to confuse the shit out of everyone. So in the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom movie, Batman plays a role. Michael Keaton was supposed to be that Batman. So he's already filmed scenes for Aquaman 2, as Michael Keaton's already filmed scenes as Batman, because they had assumed that Aquaman would come out after The Flash, where essentially Ben Affleck came back to hand the Batman baton. That was a bad fucking run of words. Ben Affleck was handing over the Batman cowl to Michael Keaton. And then Michael Keaton made sense.
Back, technically.
Yeah, I get, yes. But as part of the the crossover for Flashpoint, right? So, but because Ezra Miller's cluster-fucked the Flash, they've pushed the release of Flash back, and so Ben Affleck's had to come in and refilm all of Michael Keaton's scenes. So now Ben Affleck's going to be Batman in Aquaman 2.
I still want to see Keaton's scenes, but
which actually, if you think about it, Ezra Miller's done a really good job of Flashpoint, because Flashpoint just fucks the DCU.
Yeah, he completely he reset it.
Kind of
yeah.
He reset the timeline by being a.
Did either of you watch the Shazam trailer, the one that I was talking about, where they? Yeah, did you watch it, Pete?
Yeah.
So for those listening at home that haven't seen it, it's Shazam talking to a psychiatrist, and he talks about another superhero that's already dressed in red with a lightning bolt, and they show a couple of quick flashes of the Flashes. Sorry, they show a quick couple of images of the Flash running, but his arms are strategically placed in front of his face, so you can't see the actor playing the Flash.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ezra Miller is out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we get we should totally fucking get like a de-aged Luke Skywalker straight out of the Mandalorian season, the series, as our next Flash. Just get Mark Hamill, de-aged Mark Hamill. They've figured out how to do it reasonably well in Mando.
So who do you want to de-age? Yeah.
I know, that was very random.
That was
random. It was just Mark Hamill. It's all right.
Wasn't that because he was in the original Flash series?
Is the chick
as Joker.
Okay.
As the trickster, sorry. Before he voiced Joker in just about everything. And Warner Brothers is still banging the fucking drum about doing a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie / series.
They lock
movies.
Affleck in. That's all they need.
Well, there's kind of the rumor is
they got Crisis in Infinite Studios. Once they fix that, maybe they can do the other one.
Well, I mean, look, the rumor
over here.
the rumor is that the fan love that Ben Affleck got for the Zack Snyder cut was the reason why he kind of rescinded his statement that he'd never play Batman again. So whether or not he signs in to do an actual Batman movie or a series of movies, or he just keeps doing these kind of random cameos, it's like a John Farnham. It's my last ever time I'll play Batman, like 11 times in a row. Who knows? I mean, I would love to see.
Talking about banging drums. Movie. I need to bang this drum again. If we get Affleck back as well as Pattinson's can go off and diverge and do its noir thing that it's doing, and then you give us Affleck and you give us Arkham.
Yeah.
You give us Arkham Asylum in all of its zany, over the top, fucking let the Joker loose, have the fucking Titan serum, like just do fucking Arkham, have Bane fucking hooked up, being drained out. It's like just do the whole thing. Let's just go fucking balls to the wall. If that's what you're gonna get, just have a fucking zany one that side and have the fucking noir Pattinson on that side, and we can have your cake and eat it too.
That'd be cool. Where would you put the Joker? In like when I say the Joker, what I mean is the Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker, which kind of ended in that really fucked up way. Recruiting like the people, the Joker's thugs. Which of those two parallel dimensions
he would have
put
to
him
be in the Pattinson one, and he would have to be the first of the three Jokers. If you want to do it that way, then lead into the DC. I reckon you do it that way, and the Joker that talks to the Riddler at the end of the Batman, for spoilers that for a movie that's 6 months old. Sorry, you have him. No.
Could be Joaquin Phoenix.
You have him as a follow-on, as the second Joker, as someone who's following in the footsteps there, because he's way younger. The actor that plays the Joker, and he's completely disfigured and scarred. So you just have it as the second Joker, and you lean it on, you lean into it. You have the guys that were on the train as the evolution of the guys wearing the Joker masks from the Joker movie, and that's what you do. You just have an evolution. Yep. Those two films could quite easily fit into each other 20 years, 30 years apart, 40 years apart, 50 years apart.
There you go, listeners. You heard it here first. DCEU sorted. I mean, that's the core. Like, why can't smart people in Hollywood come up with this shit and then just make it fucking work? Why do they dick around with these one-shot movies that they talk about turning into like a extended universe series of movies and then clusterfuck the movies? All of the what are the... God, I can't think of the fucking movie. The one Will Smith was in.
Man Legend. Hancock.
The fucking DC movie that he was in. Friends? Fucking hell.
What was he? Bag
Moving
of Ants?
on. I'm going to go get another beer.
What was the golf one?
Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is
Thank
what
you.
Pete was thinking of.
I'm getting another beer. Fuck y'all.
I've already got my beer. I'm fast. I'll talk about my beer while we wait for Peter to come back and forget what he was talking about. I am drinking the Bright Brewery Hellfire, their amber lager. Oh, amber ale, sorry, I should say. Not lager. It's 5%. It is pouring a nice, deep, kind of reddy brown. It is just... It's not overly malty. There's a bit of that caramel sweetness coming through. Slight toast kind of flavors. It's perfect for a cold winter's evening, which I imagine there are plenty down at Bright Brewery, being up in the Victorian Alps, they call them. But solid. I would definitely, after a day up in the mountains, I would happily sit down and sit on this while, sitting in front of a fire.
I've never been able to work out what
delightful,
Bright Brewery's core range is, even if
and-
they ever have one. It's they always seem to be all the collabs and the new ones like that one. It's just they might not even have one.
Yeah,
they might have
yeah.
like 2 beers in their core. And
I don't know. I imagine, they've got a pale. I actually think the this can looks like it probably would be like that's the can again.
is it
Look like might
labeled
be a core
or is
range
it printed?
can. I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah, I thought it was printed. Yeah, that's
It's
what I
printed
mean. It's most of the
label.
ones I've seen.
Yeah.
Well, not most of the ones. A lot of the ones I've seen are printed cans, and I mean, obviously the collabs and that they have all been labels.
Yeah.
But that's why I can never quite work out what's in their core.
I'll give that a solid 4.5. 4.5 out of 5. Well
To be
done.
sure.
Mm. What did
cool.
you grab, Peter?
I grabbed another slow lane. It's the last slow lane I'll be doing tonight before I get into... I'm not sure if I think I mentioned this to you before we started recording, Tom. I might do 3 beers instead of 4 because pretty much that 6% wit beer that I had before, the Weisse beer that I had before, is the lowest ABV in my fridge. Everything's fucking... Because I love browns and stouts and we're in winter. It's the perfect weather for it. Everything's like 11 or 12%. I've got a 15 or 14.5% barley wine in the fridge. So, and they're all in 440ml cans. So rather than being a complete trash bag on a Monday night, I might just have 3 beers. So for my second, I've got, this is one of the lowest ABVs, Threefold from Slow Lane Brewing, which is a Belgian triple at 8.4%. So, yeah, not a warm-up beer, that one.
No, that's a sitting beer.
Yeah, nice and clear. I mean, it's unfiltered, but it's not cloudy.
Look at that nice white foamy head.
Oh, that's very unusual. It's like you don't expect to get solid malt notes through a beer that light in colour. Well, I didn't anyway. Pilsner malt, Saaz and Tettnang hops, and Belgian Abbey yeast. And you certainly get a shitload of that yeasty hit all the way through. It's quite sharp. I'm having trouble describing the flavour notes because it's quite unusual. Complex yeast-derived flavours, that's exactly what it is. Initial open fermentation and then a second fermentation in the can. Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. It's got honey.
Is that a bad? You don't know what to make of it?
No, not at all. It's unusually sharp. You expect certain flavors in beers, and then you get other random flavors that just kind of cut through noise and it's just unexpected.
So while Pete decides on, yep.
Definitely. Sorry. Definitely a lot of sweetness in the back palate. And it is quite honey. I'm trying to identify the flavors. I'm really struggling. Banana bread, someone else said on Untapped, and I can kind of understand where that came from. I don't agree with it, but it's kind of got those estery notes to it, but it's all yeast. That's all I'm tasting is yeast.
No, I was just going to say,
Dan,
I just
carry on,
quickly chucked in Bright Brewing so I could see what their core range was, and they have Alpine Lager, Blowhard Pale Ale,
I did the
Bright
same
Sour,
thing. Look at
Hellfire
us.
Amber, and the MIA IPA.
Yep.
Yes. So it's definitely,
Yes,
it's
that is
definitely.
cool.
So it is
I've
cool.
just seen these and maybe thought I haven't seen that one, or getting them all mixed up together. Too many beers in the world.
So for mine, definitely banana, and someone else has written something that is exactly what I've been trying to put my finger on. Clove. That is, you get that sharpness from kind of clove flavors. So I'm going to give that a 4.5. That's actually it's totally out of my wheelhouse. It's unexpected, but it's thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Why was that funny? Dan?
Totally out of your wheelhouse.
Okay. It is. Yes. So 4.5. Let's move on to a bunch of mini reviews. We've been doing a lot of mini reviews lately, in the absence of like big topics, although we kind of have one this episode. So shall we start with Grey Man, Tom? Have you seen it,
Sure.
Dan? I'm
Nope.
assuming you haven't, mate.
Nope.
Been doing like real life stuff. Far more important.
Are you going to watch it?
I probably will. So you guys talk, and I'll be.
It's a pop-out action flick. So.
I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. See ya. Catch ya.
I must go make pee-pee.
Yeah, Emma and I just chucked it on like Sunday night. I'd gotten home. I'd worked the shift on the Sunday, and just we were like, "Fuck it, let's put this on." It was thoroughly enjoyable. It was.
I was impressed. I had no idea. I thought it'd be another just a pop-out action flick, and yeah, cool Ryan Gosling, but don't really picture him as an action hero. And I was blown away.
I actually thought the thing I found most interesting about it was, for me, you really could have, because it's Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Chris Evans plays the dick.
The over-the-top, ostentatious, fucking hilarious villain. Yeah.
Which is cool to see after he played Cap. Like, it is the polar opposite of Captain America, his character. But the thing I found the most interesting out of the casting of those two is you could go back and reshoot that entire film and have them swap roles, and it would be just as good a film. Like,
yes.
I could really see Ryan Gosling, like, he could probably have a bit of fun with the
mentally
dick bad
insane
guy,
dick. Yeah.
Yeah. God, they love a drone flyby shot. Jesus,
I enjoyed
there were
those.
A lot of them.
Just
there
quickly
was like one every like 10 minutes.
Before we get into it, so directed by the Russo brothers, and it shows. It's based on a novel, which I can easily see, if that makes sense. The plot was not dense.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Standard action flick.
It read like it played kind of like a modern day Tom Clancy novel.
I was just going to say like an oversimplified Clancy novel. Yep.
Yeah.
Starring Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de
Armas.
De Armas. It is De Armas. Thank you. Who played Joy in Blade Runner 2049 and Paloma in No Time to Die and a few other things. Lots of other things.
He's popping up.
Billy Bob Thornton is getting old. It was good to see him, but he was excellent as a supporting actor. And I thought it was cool to see Jessica Henwick, who was the main female lead in Iron Fist, and she's popped up a few times. She played
What's the name? White Tiger or something like that.
I don't recall. I've tried to wipe that whole series from my memory. She was the only standout to be in it. To be honest, she also played Bugs in Matrix Cash Cow Erections, which is what I'm calling that movie now. So it was cool to see her in another movie.
Kind of sounded like you said Matrix Cash Cow Erections, and that is a whole different film, I'm sure.
Rule 42 or whatever it is, Rule 41.
Yeah. She was great. I thought she was a bit underutilized, Jessica Henwick.
I agree.
She definitely could have done more.
But she's only really played supporting leads, not leads. Supporting roles, not lead roles, if that makes sense. So I reckon she's quite capable of stepping up. She's never given a bad performance.
No.
So my notes, interestingly, your mention of drone footage is one of the third notes I wrote. So bold, over the top, no holds barred action flick. Enough explosions to give Michael Bay wood. Definitely true. Like, it's just over the top in parts. The fight choreography is like Hollywood top notch. And the supporting cinematography during the fight scenes was similar. Like, it was just
especially
really...
that scene in the square where he's handcuffed. Yeah, that was great.
Oh, not just that, but also just the actual fisticuffs. The martial arts sequences were fucking brilliant. They're realistic. There's no haymakers and wasted energy in their close combat fighting. It was realistic in that sense. So I thought that was cool. I said interesting use of drone footage. I mean, there was too many establishing shots, which everyone's using drones for these days. But I thought it was unusual to see a movie where they've actively integrated drone footage into the action sequences. There are shots where the drone kind of flies straight past the actor and does a panning sweep, and it actually adds to the action sequence itself without going into the Transformers-esque, it's so shaky you can't actually tell that the CGI is really shit. Ryan Gosling. Fucking beefcake, man.
Yes, that was one of Emma's complaints, actually. There wasn't enough shirtless Ryan Gosling. And you know what? I tend to agree with her.
Well, he plays
ripped. He was
ripped for this movie. Like he's played the kind of the. I don't know if I'd be correct in saying he's kind of played the rom-com steamy male lead in.
No, what's that film he's in where he wears the scorpion jacket? That's insane. Drive? Yeah, I think it's Drive.
Oh yeah, that was a good film.
Drive.
Yeah. No, Drive. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, check it out if you want to see. Yeah, but no, Ryan Gosling's fucking huge. Like,
and plays a realistic action hero. Yeah, like he's believable as a complete and absolute beefcake, and he's flimsy in the right kind of way as an action hero. And he's not even really an action hero. He's kind of playing the anti-hero, ex-con kind of guy. Without going into too much detail. Overall, I was very impressed. For a free release on Netflix, it was absolutely a Hollywood blockbuster movie, in my opinion.
There were a few moments I found where it just went. That one, the tram exploding into the building, that was just...
It was over the top, but it was like an Arnie-style action film.
Well, that was the only time where I found it was jarring, the CGI they were using, or the graphics. Like, everything else works so seamlessly. But yeah, that was probably the only time. I found the establishing sweeping drone shots got a bit boring towards the halfway point. And
the establishing shots did
2 hours and 20 minutes or so runtime.
We know we're in Prague. We don't need another fucking drone flyby of Prague. But fuck me, did they blow up Prague?
Yeah,
like to see a minivan open the back doors and not see like a mounted chain gun, because we've seen that in Terminator movies and that sort of stuff. No, we're going to up it. It's a dual grenade launcher on a swivel chair blowing up a fucking tram in the main streets of Prague.
And it was that like the gunfight, like, especially from Ryan Gosling's character, was very game-esque, like, almost, because he basically only uses the pistol. And it did very much like the way he was lining up his shots. Like, there's dudes with ballistic shields, so he shoots out their foot. It's like, of course you do. But, in all those action films, they try and empty a clip into it, and then he staggers back. And then
into the shield.
Yeah, so it was that kind of smart, like, if I was in a game, I'd shoot the dude in the foot and then, take him out. Yeah, so... No, it was...
Well, you would imagine if you were a super highly trained undercover operative and
you'd probably think that far ahead. Yeah.
You'd absolutely be trained to shoot them in the foot.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And it's definitely one of those ones that, I'd happily sit down and watch it again, like just because it's the production value on it. But yeah,
we were only talking, I think, last episode that the old school 90s action films that we grew up with are kind of gone, and the actors that support those kinds of movies, like the Arnies of the world and the Sloanes of the world, haven't really been replaced in modern cinema. And then you get a Ryan Gosling, fucking Chris Evans blockbuster that is exactly what we were talking about. So it was nice as a palate cleanser between Marvel movies, because that's what everything else is at the moment. It was great.
Yeah, no, they're very much enjoyable. I highly recommend
I'll watch it.
Let's talk about the series that gave me fucking nightmares, Tom, that you suggested that we check out.
Oh, Under the Banner of Heaven. Yeah, that is Andrew Garfield is brilliant in that. Especially as a man.
I don't remember seeing that much range from him in anything before.
Yeah.
Like I would never have called him a bad actor.
No.
But he was a brilliant actor in this.
Yeah. So it is set in the 70s in Utah.
70s and 80s.
70s and 80s. It is based on a true crime. And it centers around Andrew Garfield's character is a Mormon police officer investigating some fundamental...
In Salt Lake City, where like the population of Mormons is extremely high.
Yeah. And they're investigating a murder of a mother and her child and their connection to a quite well-established Mormon family in the area. And I don't know, yeah.
What to say?
I mean,
yeah.
I learnt more about the Mormon religion than I ever really wanted to. But God, that just seems like they make up rules as they go. That is just
they would.
Wow.
Yeah, you were focusing on, and they made it clear in the series. They were making the same commentary about Mormonism as they could easily make about any organized religion like Catholicism or Judaism or anything else. But then the series actually focuses more on the fundamentalists.
Yes.
The crazies, and these guys are fucking crazies, and the whole series centers around how much power Mormonism has in that kind of region of America, or had. It permeated through politics, it permeated through the police force. You literally had the fucking minister walk into the police station and demand to release 2 prisoners who were under suspicion for fucking murder, and everyone wanted to let them go.
Yeah.
So that's quite a lot of power.
It was
the church to just sweep shit up.
Yeah, it was the line about we need to make sure because the Mormon fundamentalists are going back to the 1800s where they're dying of dysentery on the Oregon Trail,
multiple wives.
But one of the rules they have is you've got to go out and shop because you got to support capitalism, which is a cornerstone of the faith. And it's like, how fucking American can you get? Jesus Christ!
Well, it was a religion born in America during that kind of era.
Yeah, it was just having that, like, our prophet wants us to go out and spend money, so, they can't be, like, making their own butter. It was just I cracked up at that. I was like, that is all-time classic.
But Andrew Garfield was fucking brilliant as the lead.
Brilliant in that.
Sam Worthington played we don't see enough of the rest of the Worthingtons, in my opinion, so he played an excellent...
How many Worthingtons
protagonists? There's 3.
Are you thinking of the Hemsworths?
No, I'm thinking of the... Yes, you're right, Tom, I am.
I was really
that other famous Australian actor.
I'm going to shut up. Right. Well, Pete's going to crawl back into his fucking corner.
You also had, what's his name? Russell... Bad Captain America. What's the actor's name? He played US agent in
Kurt
Falcon Winter Soldier. That's it.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
He plays I think now I've only ever seen him as an unhinged individual, so I think that might be just his go-to character at the moment. So it would have been nice to see him not as the unhinged dick. But it was very, very good series.
And And Daisy Edgar Jones. So the female lead, ironically, the woman who is murdered, the whole series centers around the investigation of a murder into a woman who ends up being in every fucking episode through like flashbacks and all the rest of it. And she plays a very driving role in the retelling of the story. And it's not we're starting the movie or the series at the end and then retelling the whole story to bring us up to date. It does bounce between like present and past frequently in a non-confusing kind of way. But Daisy Edgar Jones is an actress you probably wouldn't have seen, but she was in the War of the Worlds SBS series reboot that I was raving about a year ago on the podcast. So she's the main lead in that as well. And again, she was brilliant. Believable in her faith, but also her challenging of dogma within the framework of faith. Like, yes, I believe in the religion, but I don't believe in the stupidity of the people perpetuating the religion, if that makes sense. So, yeah, really fucking chilling to know that it was based on a true story.
Some horrible other things that happened in that was the usage of the word priesthood in a sexual sense. That was the creepiest thing I think I've ever heard. Like holding the wife, because they, the head of the house is the father, and he's the holder of the priest.
Is the holder of the priesthood.
And then the wife says, "Well, if you want me to hold your priesthood ever again," it was just like, "Oh no, that's a yucky. No, thank you."
But she didn't. That line hung a hat on it, but it was already implied pretty heavily by the use of the term, the way they used that term leading up to that.
And then just the way that my Andrew Garfield plays that absolutely torn character between, because they're so devout, but as the series goes on, he starts questioning every single thing about the religion, and because he wants to solve the case, and he's trying to it's that wrestle of, do I go with faith or do I go with my, I'm a policeman, like I'm a detective.
Well, not only that, but the people that he's investigating are using his religion in the worst possible way to commit, if not the murder that he's investigating, certainly a series of fucked up decisions that may or may not have led to the murder.
And it was getting to watch it that kind of weekly release as well. That was good. But it was definitely was one of those series that I don't usually binge series, but God, I wish that it was bingeable, because I probably would have watched the whole thing in one hit.
I did, because you gave me the tip after it had all been released, so I just destroyed it. It's only, I think it's a one series, like a one season series. It's a mini series. I think there's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, it's 6 to 8 episodes or something like that. 7. There you go, 7. Right in between what we said.
7.
Yeah, but then the other cast member I really enjoyed was the other detective, Bill Tarber. He's played by a guy named Gil Birmingham, and he has to negotiate being a Native American detective in a predominantly heavily white town in the middle of.
Oh, we're not just talking about standard black versus white, or white versus black racism here. We're also talking about a religion that specifically calls out that black people are cursed by their God, right? It's indoctrinated into their faith, or at least this offshoot of the faith, that your skin is that color because you have been cursed, or something like that.
So watching him and just the way he was just like, I don't give a fuck about it. I kind of felt more reflected in his character, because I was just like, I don't believe any of this shit you're saying. You're just guilty. You haven't done it because your God told you to. And it's just,
you did it because you're a fucking psycho. And fundamentally, it was all about a bunch of guys wanting to fuck multiple women and it be okay with their religion. So this is a religion that you have to be married to the people that you have sex with. So bring back polyamorism as part of the religion. That was the fundamentalist movement that they were chasing. So I should be able to marry as many people as I want.
But brilliant series, brilliantly acted across the board. Well worth a watch. But it's some creepy stuff. Creepy.
Very creepy. In a lot less detail, there was a kind of an offshoot that I had to that series because I was hungry for more after I finished that series. Blackbird is I think it's an Apple TV series that's currently being released and is another true crime mini series. So it's only 5 episodes long, and it's based on the real story of like a absolutely off the hinges serial killer in America in the 90s, I think. Might have been the late 80s, early 90s. It's called Blackbird. Stars Taron Egerton, who's like, again, he has bulked the fuck up for this compared to where he was in The Kingsman. So he's now a beefcake. So he was in jail for a minor crime. He took a plea deal and got fucked over by the DA so that they could position him in a maximum security psychiatric prison to try and get a confession out of a guy who had admitted to killing one girl, but they suspected of killing like 5 or 6. Right. Again, based on a real story, and they now believe that he killed more like 25 young women.
Yeah, right.
The actor that plays the serial killer, and you know he's guilty from the very start, right? Like, it's not a spoiler. He killed people. That's why he's in jail. Played by Paul Walter Hauser, who I have seen in some comedy, but I've never seen a whole movie with him in it. But he's usually he's the overweight, like, comic relief character. He was in I, Tonya, which is a movie I haven't seen, but he's a comedic role in that. But he plays the psychopath, and I mean like properly. I don't mean cold-blooded killer psycho. I mean like a few sandwiches short of a picnic upstairs killer, and he's like bone-chillingly fucking scary, that guy. So he does not look like a serial killer, but when he talks in this high-pitched, creepy-ass voice, and it betrays that creepiness perfectly. So check out Blackbird if you want something else like it.
There we go.
Might all be a bit too depressing to watch back to back like I have.
Yeah. Anyway, I've heard enough from both of us. It's time for Dan to say something.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think we should. We're like 4 episodes through the boys, so let's hold the boys for probably the next ep, and we'll go from there.
Yep. Cool.
The Northman. Yeah, the Northman's fucking great. It's. I think I said it in the chat, and I said it at Pete again yesterday, that it's the perfect mix between the mythology, the Norse mythology, and realistic. I say that in quotation marks for those not watching. The realistic history of the Vikings. They lean very heavily into semi-authentic clothing and housing and ships and where they travelled to and everything like that. The not the berserkers, because they weren't berserkers, the ones that wear the wolf skin. I can't remember. But it stars Alexander Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy are the 2 main male-female leads. I'm not even going to try and... What is it? Claes Bang? Bag? Have you...
Claes Bang?
Claes? Claes. I don't know how you pronounce that. So he's the other lead. He's the antagonist of the series. He's the Alexander Skarsgård's. There's no spoilers here, because if you look up the cast and see the trailer, you see Alexander Skarsgård's character saying, "I will avenge you, father. Yeah. I will save you, mother. Yeah. I will kill you." It starts with F. This guy's name. Sorry, it's a very Nordic name. Fjolnir. And it's a revenge. It's a revenge story, and it's just fucking great. It's brutal. The only thing is the fight scenes were heavily choreographed, but they could have taken a little bit more rehearsal, so it was a bit quicker. It's very, I think it's very stagnant.
Now I'm going to swing overhead.
Yeah, you do.
I am going to block.
Yeah, but they're one shot fights, so I think that's why they're all waiting for people to get in position. And I'm sure it was fucking cold and wet where they were filming, so they probably had limited time to do it. I think a lot of it's filmed.
As long as people aren't blocking before the swing starts, because you've seen that in a couple of really bad background characters in movies sometimes.
So where I'm not going to go too far into the the mythology side that's in there. But just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, the right level of mythology, during this revenge quest that he comes across a sword that he's pointed towards by a shaman that he meets in the mountains, and the sword is a cursed sword, but it just looks like, because it's set in a more traditional, like, Nordic atmosphere, it just looks like a Viking sword. But the shaman tells him that it can only be unsheathed in the darkness of night. And so he goes about his revenge at nighttime because he can unsheath this sword that he's using to kill everybody. And there's one fight scene that he comes to during the day, and he actually goes to pull it from the scabbard, and the sword won't come out of the scabbard. So he has to fight with the sword still in the scabbard because it's during the day. So the sword will not come out of the scabbard. So it's little things like that. There's one point during the movie where he fights a creature, and you don't know whether the fight actually happened or whether he imagined it happened. It was filmed in that kind of way. Yeah. So there's another little bit of mythology that it could have just been what he imagined was going to happen that played out, or whether it actually did happen and things kind of reset a little bit.
So does the soundtrack and the soundscape and kind of the cinematography kind of lend it the atmosphere of the mystical kind of elements you're talking about? And when I ask, I'm kind of talking from the context of like the Gladiator movie, where those kind of mystical elements are very much reinforced by those parts, the soundscape, etc.
It does, yes, but it's an unfair comparison to Gladiator. Gladiator was definitely a Hollywood movie, and this is definitely a movie that's been filmed with traditionally all the music score is all made with traditional instruments, so the stringed instruments of the Scandinavian countries. There's no big cinematic score to it. It's a beautiful soundtrack. I love all that folk Nordic music, so I was really into the soundtrack. It's filmed on location, so there's sets that are built out in the wild in Norway and Iceland, which I'm assuming that's where it's all filmed. I probably should have done my research a little bit more before this, but that's where it's set. It's set in Norway to start with, and then it's set in Iceland afterwards. And they're all outside sets, so when they're outside, they're not on a soundstage in Hollywood somewhere. They're out in the Scandinavian country. The elements are all happening. Everything's wet. They have a few cross-section shots of huts that are really built because someone walks in a shot from one side and you're looking down through the middle of the hut from the outside, and then they come towards the camera and go out the end door. So all those physical sets were all built. And it all reinforces it on that side of it, yes. The mythological elements within it don't feel out of place. From the very beginning, you can see the life that these people would have led, believing in these gods and these traditions. Nothing in it feels jammed in there. So it all works together.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's really good.
That's cool. We might just so you know, whilst Tom's still here, we've kind of lost Tom's recording. So I don't know why. So we might just take a quick. We'll just take a quick break for 2 seconds and figure out how to get Tom back. We can still see him. It's just that you guys aren't going to be able to hear him. Just to fill in the gap, though, whilst Dan was talking about Northman, Tom did a lot of So we're up to date. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So we just had a little bit of a technical issue.
It wasn't me.
And it wasn't Dan. It will be Dan in post, but it's not Dan on the live recording. Dan's 1 hour file will need to be split into 37 pieces to sync his voice and his audio and his video, but that's not Dan's fault. That's the government's fault. Do you want to quickly talk about, we've got to kind of go to break soon anyway, but we want to talk about Malignant, Dan?
Yeah. I will cover it very quickly because it was a steaming pile of crap, but it's worth putting in there because it's a steaming pile of crap.
Yeah, James Wan makes good fucking movies. What happened?
Well, this is my question. Does James Wan make good movies, or is it the guy that was his partner when he wrote Saw? Was it all of his doing in the directing and the writing? Because his movie Upgrade is fucking amazing. It's absolutely excellent for a little indie budget movie.
I didn't know that was him, because that was very indie, and yet it felt like, it was brilliant.
I should know his name, but I don't. But Upgrade is excellent. If you haven't seen Upgrade, go and watch Upgrade, because it's fucking great.
We did cover it in the podcast like 2 years ago. Lee Wannell is the name of the director and writer.
Yeah. So, are you guys going to watch it? Are you going to watch Malignant? Like, it is like really quite bad.
I enjoyed Annabelle and that universe that they've established, but if it's a shit movie, like, spoil the fuck out of it. It's a horror movie. You either get the jump thrill or you don't.
Well, yes and no.
This is the guy who did Aquaman. Yeah, right. No, that explains a lot. See you later.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did do Aquaman. So I'm really suspecting James Wan wasn't the fucking the mastermind between that fucking duo doing Saw, because it was so bad, like so bad. If the actual premise of the movie hadn't have been good, there is no way I would have continued to watch it, because it's like they got every actor straight out of acting school or walked up to people on the street and just said, hey, we need someone to play this stereotypical part in this movie. Do you want to do it? And just read this off a piece of paper. They did one take and that was it. Like, I understand these more direct-to-TV movies need have a lower budget and need to be done faster and everything like that. But fuck me, the acting.
So they're not paying
terrible.
they're not paying for physical footage anymore, so they can do a few takes on their digital celluloid.
Yeah,
like
the acting was terrible. The delivery of the lines was terrible. The interaction between all of the characters was fucking horrible. I don't think there was one good interaction between two human characters.
Wow,
at all. In the whole fucking movie, because it was horrendously bad, but the premise was kind of creepy and kind of good. So you've got.
I always like the fact that, like, the Conjuring series was rooted in or based on real ghost stories.
Yeah,
and so you always had that question mark, and they designed it so that you always had that question mark: is this real? Is this like over dramatized real, or is this just bullshit? Someone got stoned or ate some mushrooms and wrote some shit down.
Yeah, and I think that kind of might have been what this was, but they did write it fairly well. So the premise is, it starts off in this asylum. One of the patients gets loose. You get the implication that the doctors have been experimenting on him. He has some sort of electrical controlling powers. And then you don't really see him. You see him behind a plastic sheet, and the main doctor goes, "Okay, Timothy," or whatever the fuck his name is, where it's time to cut the cancer out. And that line seems to be like a throughput line through the whole movie.
It is called Malignant.
Yeah. And then it cuts later, and like 20 years later, and it's following a woman in modern day. She's got an abusive husband. He beats her up one night, and he's sleeping on the couch. That night, a shadowy creature gets into their house and murders him, and like really badly murders him, like twists him all up, like heads backwards and like spines broken and all that. So he gets what he deserves. And then
gonna do a thing.
A few days later, the doctor that was running the hospital, she ends up being murdered, and the main character woman is able to, in her own home, she kind of gets mentally transported to the murder scene to see it happen. So she's got some sort of psychic link with the murderer. And this is the first time you see sort of the murderer move, and he moves in a really creepy, kind of almost backwards running way. Like he's running, the body is facing forward, but his head is on backwards and he's moving backwards. And it's this really weird thing, and the shoulders pop and the arms pop and everything like that. Anyway, a few more murders happen, few things happen, and then you get to the end of it and you find out more about the main actress, the main character, that her mother was raped, and she gave up the child, I say that singular at the moment, to the asylum, and they start testing on him, but it wasn't a single child. It was the brother and sister, but they were conjoined. So why it looks like the murder is running backwards. Yes, so the brother is on the back, and he was all like really fucking deformed and like had these little like what's his name? The dude from fucking Total Recall that
So he was Voldemort in Harry Potter 1?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, so he's
living on the back of the dude's head.
He's like in there, and in the end they end up cutting the cancer out, and they cut him out as much as what they can, but his brain is intertwined with her brain. So they fucking crack her skull and like push him back in, like into the head, and then close the head up. And how he got out, because the abusive husband cracked the back of the woman's skull on the fucking wall, so it broke it open.
And he managed to climb back out.
And he started to come out, but he was controlling her body.
Wow.
Backwards.
Wow.
And it was this
as
weird...
the premise of a movie. What the fuck? But also, when does it get to the bad bit? Because I'm still interested in watching this.
The acting and the
I'm
film.
kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
Sorry,
kidding,
what?
But and then it went
Sounds
to
fucking horrible.
We had to spoon his brain back in, and that's the basis of the fucking movie?
So
Come on.
it shows him like cutting the body out because he didn't have legs. Like he was just like this. She was like a fucking hunchback, and he was like the malignant tumor on her back. So they cut everything out, cut all his fucking arms off and everything like that, and like cut his face all up and everything. And you literally see them like pushing the face and the head into her skull and closing the skull up. And then it goes into the end of the movie, and he's like taking on the cops in like these fucking Matrix-esque like fight scenes.
Well,
It's
he's
just-
got two bodies, but he doesn't.
But it, like, because everything's filmed like backwards, like it's a stunt person. I don't even know if it was a woman at that stage, is like trying to move backwards when it's a person, but then it cuts to a CGI jumping up doing fucking neo flips and parkouring through the fucking police.
The only thing that I feel bad about in this whole description is James Wan is one of the only big blockbuster directors and writers in Hollywood that came from Australia. He's an Aussie. So we're kind of panning one of the only Aussies in Hollywood in that kind of chair.
Well, he should make better
But if
fucking
it's a
movies
shit
than
fucking
him.
movie, then it's a shit fucking movie, right? What can you say?
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to back it if it's that shit. I'm not just going to back him because he's Aussie. Oh, I just found some images of it. Yeah, it's a little...
You're looking at his little stick hands. It's man.
No, it's one of the ones where like he's coming out the back of a head, but
yeah.
instead someone superimposed Nicolas Cage's face in there. It's very funny.
They need the birdcage hair for Nick Cage's. Anyway,
it was just I can forgive bad movies. I can I'm a massive fan, and you know what? I shouldn't even classify this in the same. I was going to say the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, really low budget, but brilliantly filmed and everything for their era on like college fucking budgets. Like, and this was a Hollywood movie, not a Hollywood movie, but it was a fucking movie that was filmed in LA. It was filmed in Seattle, but in 2022, like that shit should not fucking happen.
You expect if it's going to be a pop out, then hang a hat on it and be obviously not taking itself seriously.
Oh yeah, no.
I found the little hand.
You
image.
found the little.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. All right, we're
I
moving
just
on.
think of the scary
I-
movie Mashed Potatoes. Just take my strong hand, child.
But I just think the idea of it could have worked. I think the whole creepy, conjoined, deformed twin taking over a brain, I think that side of it could have worked, but the execution of it was horrendous.
Hideously bad.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Terribly bad.
Before we go into a break, I want to end it on a slightly more positive note. If you are into Matt Groening comedy, so Simpsons and Futurama, do yourself a favor and watch Disenchanted on Netflix. It's basically Matt Groening style comedy in a fantasy Middle Ages kind of setting, and it's fucking funny as hell. And it does push the boundary too. It's a lot more adult than Simpsons ended off as, because Simpsons was kind of evolved over time. over like their 55 seasons or whatever. And Brickleberry was a recommendation from Big Easy Eduardo on one of our biggest fans and listeners. Brickleberry's a Comedy Central comedy cartoon series on Disney Plus. And as he mentioned, I am amazed that Disney Plus allows it to be shown because it is off the fucking rails. It makes South Park look tame in terms of adult humor.
Well, Disney did just get in trouble or get yelled at because they finally put Logan and Deadpool 1 and 2 on Disney Plus. So, like,
why they get yelled at?
Look, the reality because anyone can access it if you don't put child lock on your streaming.
The reality is Walt Disney himself was a fucking Nazi, so I don't understand why we have to pretend like it's the kids' fucking company. It's not.
Yeah.
Never was. Yeah. So Brickleberry is fucking funny too. I'm actually torn now because they're both 30-ish minute episodes, so they're nice time fillers when you don't have a lot to do and you just need to blank out some time. I'm really enjoying Disenchanted, but Brickleberry just makes me fucking laugh. Just with how outrageously wrong it is.
I liked Disenchanted for the first season, and then I watched the first couple in the second season. I just felt it lost something, but I've only seen the first 4 or 5 episodes of Disenchanted of season 1. Brickleberry, I've only seen a couple of episodes. Brickleberry's set in a like a wildlife park. They're rangers. Most of the characters are rangers, but there's like a talking teddy bear who, needs to eat chocolate, and there's there's sexual harassment. There's the woman who's voice acted by a guy as like with this kind of voice and has the female symbol on her chest, and her vagina has its own voice actor. There's like in the first episode, there's an attractive female that comes into the park. I keep wanting to say theme park, and you just hear this growling, like demon voices, and this girl says, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was my vagina talking. I don't know, it just got carried away with me." Like, it's that kind of humor. It's just really fucking out there.
Yeah, right.
Definitely worth watching if you're not politically correct like me. Funny as fuck. And on that note, I think we'll take a break, and I'll go select a 12%
sipping beer.
Yeah.
Let it warm up.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hey, hey.
We ready?
And we're back. We're back.
We are back.
It's boring.
We are back. Dan's muted, so he can sip his cup of tea, governor. Except it's not a cup of tea. I'm sure it's not coffee, is it? It's late for coffee. Oh, thank God. I was going to say I wouldn't fucking sleep having a coffee at 8:15.
God, no.
Let's kick us off with our third beer for the evening, Tom. This may be my final beer. I'm not sure yet. Let's see how trashed I am by the end of this beer.
You can go first.
Okay.
It's going to take you long enough to get through the beer now.
Oh, Jesus. One drop. I've been drinking a lot of your beers on the podcast recently, and I do love your beers. But seriously, guys, just pick a 1 or 2 word name for them and then put the 50 different words describing the beer as a sub-name. This is One Drop. I won't be able to read, won't be able to tell you. There we go. It's One Drop's toasted marshmallow and salted caramel pecan mudcake nitro imperial pastry stout. Except it's not on nitro, so I don't know why that was in the Untapped. I copied and pasted that from Untapped.
Might be on nitro at the brewery.
Yeah. As a beer, though, as an imperial pastry stout, weighing in at a fat and glorious 10.9% ABV. It's off the wall sweet, dark awesomeness. Like, if you like sweet black beers or sweet stouts, it's crazy good. You do get the caramel separated from the... It's not just chocolate. It's kind of like... that... I don't want to say Belgian chocolate because that just sounds, stupid. But that real rich chocolate that you get out of good quality chocolate, that's what you're getting out of it. Thick mouthfeel. The alcohol, there's no burn, but it's you can tell that it's got a high ABV. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. You get the alcohol flavour. I'm not getting any pecans. And the salinity level, it is noticeably, like, there is definitely salt in it. Salt water. But fucking great if you like sweet stouts. The end. What were you smiling at, Dan?
I was on mute, so I didn't get to jump in, so the moment has passed.
You weren't on mute.
I was when you said it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm going to give this 4.75.
If anybody's going to be watching at home, they're going to be able to see you say the words and me go, and then reach for my mute button, but it was far too far through the.
What was the words?
Your thick mouthfeel.
It was viscous. I tell you what, I'm not getting is toasted marshmallow. And having kind of toasted marshmallows for a brown ale before, like, I very much know what the toasted marshmallow flavors can be in a beer, and I really didn't get that. I get lots of sweetness, you get lots of molasses and those caramelly sweet notes, but couldn't detect any toasted marshmallow, nor could I detect pecans. Definitely mudcake, though. The whole thing's just a chocolate mudcake in a beer, basically.
So a lot of beers have put pecans in. I know I've eaten a pecan, and I don't think they've actually got that much flavour to them. It must just be some nutty background flavour.
Oh,
I've never picked it up in a beer either that said it's had pecans in it. I'm like, I ain't getting any pecans from this.
But most cakes that have pecans in them are honeyed pecans, or they're caramelized pecans. They're always turned into a sweet nut rather than the original pecan flavour, if that makes sense.
Pumpkin pecan pie.
It's not like
Australians don't do pumpkin pie. There's one thing.
No, that's true.
No.
We don't. We don't. I don't even do pumpkin soup.
Oh,
So.
Pumpkin pie is awesome, man. My sister-in-law makes an awesome pumpkin pie. Anyway.
Yeah, no thanks.
Cool.
No, you don't like pumpkin pie? Have you ever had it?
Pumpkin bread or pumpkin spice lattes. I'm not. No. I like pumpkin.
I like roast pumpkin, but
a pumpkin pie is like this isn't going to make it sound nice. It's like a thicker custard tart.
Okay.
It's like the custard,
I'm prepared to try your
custard tart. The pumpkin custardy part of the pie is thicker than what custard is in a custard tart.
Right.
So it's great. It's fucking awesome.
I'm prepared to try. Did you say your sister-in-law?
Yeah, but she's got 2 kids now, so she doesn't have time to bake. This was pre 2 children.
Okay.
Let's put in a special request form.
I used to. Don't worry.
Pumpkin pie.
Tom, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Dayton Beer's Burnout Black IPA.
See, that's a nice and short name. One drop. Doesn't take long to fucking say or write. It's not an essay.
Hey, look, they told you exactly what's in it, so you can't be surprised when you find those flavors.
I didn't find half the flavors, Tom. So I could scratch out at least half the words on my can.
You didn't look hard enough.
Sorry.
This is a very, very well made black IPA. I'm sure that Dan will get a can of it and use his scientific tools and tell me that I'm wrong and it's too sweet, and I'll be like, well, go fuck yourself.
Sorry, I feel like you need to explain that better, Tom, because that was quite fun and funny on chat.
No, let's leave the mystery. I like a bit of mystery. Dan can explain it later if he wants. They said they used 5 hops. They don't tell you what the 5 hops are, but it is very resinous. It is like a heap of pine, both in the aroma and the taste. Straight off the bat, real solid malt base there to accentuate those flavors. It is good. It's nice roastiness, but then you just get heaps more of that resin coming through. And it sits in a lovely 6.5%. So I've slowly inched my way up in ABVs tonight. I will be having a 4th. I've got one warming up.
I've got so many good beers in my fridge that I'm excited to try on the podcast. I just don't think I'm going to get through an 11% and be comprehensible for another.
Yeah. They do tell you though, which is, I think is pretty rare these days on any on IPAs this day. They do list the IBU on the can. It does say it's 35 IBUs.
That's low for.
That kind of went out of fashion. Yeah. I really feel like that went out of fashion, putting the IBUs on the cans. I'd say bring it back. Let's make a renaissance. Yeah, it's not overly bitter. But it's super piney. It's more about that sensation rather than the bitterness. And yes, I will give it a solid 4. Well done, Dayton.
Yeah, cool.
Cool looking can art too. Little all flames and smoke and
the description on Untappd is hilarious. This full throttle 5-hop injected single overhead cam turner black IPA roars with dark malt backbone and fills your nostrils with fumes of pine and resin. Kettle to the metal.
That is exactly what it says on the back of the can too. So
okay,
it's very, very well done. Get your lips around it if you can. More black IPAs, damn it!
Yeah,
we keep banging that drum.
It's a few episodes.
See if anybody listens.
First, it was the West Coast. Now we're on a rampage for black IPAs. Dan, just on a quick technical note, did you do anything different on your computer? Because suddenly I'm getting like weird buzz out of your mic. And I know it was you because you muted yourself before. And
hello. No, nothing.
Hello.
Nothing. Didn't even turn it off.
Okay. Who knows? Moving on to trailer trash. We've got a few trailers to get through. We've got 4. Starting with She-Hulk. We got our final trailer. It's trailer 3.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law,
which is due in 17 days. She-Hulk series on Disney Plus is released on 17th of August, starring Tatiana Maslany. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, is that that's the lady from that one where she played lots of people. There's a really bad description for you.
Have you got that movie with that guy in it from that other movie that time? That was my fucking life as a teenager in Civic Video, by the way.
Anyway, continue. Yep. It'll come to me at some stage.
Also, surprisingly, I'm sure, starring Mark Ruffalo, but Charlie Cox is coming in as Daredevil / the... I can't remember his name when he's not as...
Matt Murdock.
Thank you, Matt Murdock. You're welcome. The blind lawyer. Looks fun. The trailer looks fun. Doesn't take itself too seriously.
Bit of fourth wall breaking in there.
Yep. Because she looks directly at the camera, and Mark and the other Hulk, the Hulk, looks in the camera like, "What are you looking at?" So yeah.
So I think the basic premise of this series is in the comics, she got her Hulk powers through a blood transfusion for Bruce Banner is her cousin. So I'm sure they'll go down a similar route with that. We see the Abomination. She ends up, I think, defending him, or that's like the case she gets given.
Wong's
they open up they open up a superhuman kind of
law
defense
firm.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Law firm. Yeah. So Abomination is, tied in with all the Hulk universe. So, it does just look fun. It looks fun. And then, we're going to see some Matt Murdockness in there I'm assuming both forms as Daredevil and as a co-lawyer kind of thing. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. But it's
fun.
Yeah, it's a good little rundown trailer.
I do like that it's created and headed by Jessica Gayos. So just having a female writer director in a female-led series, I think, is good, because they're not going to pander to the shit that we see sometimes when you get a guy writing for a woman, which I think's relevant and good. And Tatiana Maslany, I wish I could pronounce that surname. I looked up what else she's been in, and I haven't seen anything else that she's in. She's been in a bunch of TV series, Harper House, Perry Mason. I think she kind of made her name there. And Orphan Black.
Orphan Black, that's the one.
not watched any of those.
That's the one. I've watched a couple of episodes. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Emma watched all of Orphan Black. I didn't watch it. But yeah.
I don't even know what it's about. So,
well, it's for you to discover.
Thomas.
In your own time. Moving right
Thomas,
along.
before we move along, where does the Daredevil costume that he's wearing come from? Is it the Ultimate one, or is it something else?
No, they're leaning. They're saying it's more based on his original yellow and red.
what I said earlier.
Debuted in the
did
comic.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have been actually focusing on the trailer when you said that. Sorry.
But if you pause it when he does this flip onto the thing, it just looks like a slight upgrade from his Netflix one.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn close.
Well,
just got some gold accents to it.
So yeah, there was. I mean, the original Daredevil suit was all like a real crimson, maroon, and black. That was it. And you just get some,
yeah,
get some gold accents now. Hopefully they don't.
Looks like he's got some gold on his helmet, kind of on the legs and the shoulder pads there. And
I've got a screenshot. I hope is a joke actually, because I get I'm gonna. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about because I will put it up there. But gosh, I hope this is a joke because that looks fucking terrible.
No,
that's definitely a joke.
And yet that doesn't look like. Anyway,
no, that's just someone colouring in.
I
Defenders.
fucking hope because that is the source material, right? That's the original Daredevil from the comics. So, anyway, yeah, hopefully they do it justice. Moving on.
I mean, they're pretty good with their costumes so far, so I
True.
haven't really fucked them up that bad.
It's going to be interesting to see a series, a TV series that is the main character when she's hulked out is 100% CGI'd. So certainly tech has come a long way since Avatar with main characters obviously CGI'd. They're now kind of interplaying with humans seamlessly. So I kind of like that because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Wakanda.
What's next?
Wakanda forever.
Oh yeah,
Black Panther.
Namor time.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised
We
when I
kinda
saw
knew it was
Namor
coming.
jump out. Really surprised. So, yeah, he dove out of the water, and because I knew nothing about it, and I watched this a couple of days after it got released, and hadn't really followed any articles on what got released at Comic-Con. And, yeah, Namor jumped out. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. Right, yeah. They're going to do the Fishman better than DC did it many, many years ago.
That's exactly what I was thinking, right? It's like we've just gotten the Aquaman 2 news, and then we're going to get the real Aquaman. And not The Boys Season 3, fuck the
Deep.
The deep.
I'm not going to finish that sentence, but yeah. I do love The Boys for them taking every dark thought that goes through your head reading traditional DC and Marvel comics and turning it into a TV series. Carry on. Yeah, Namor is going to be an interesting bad guy, an interesting lead protagonist.
Well, yeah, in the comics, the Wakanda and Atlantis have gone to war before. I really like the kind of Aztecian styling they're going down with this. I don't, from what I was reading about it, it seems like they're going to actually give, instead of calling it Atlantis, actually give it a different name. It was Tectocon or something like that. But yeah, his character design, it looks great. It's he's still got the little winged feet. They've given him his classic eyebrows because you can't have Namor without those giant, like, pointed up eyebrows that he had in all the classic comics.
He's almost drawn like a there's certain cells from Namor. Sorry, this beer's giving me the hiccups. That looks very Wolverine.
Yeah, right.
It's got that same styling of like angular drawing style. Anyway,
yeah,
with those eyebrows.
But yeah, then they've in the comics the Atlanteans were blue skinned people, so it's good that they've gone down that route too. With the other, he was always half human, half Atlantean. And then all roads are pointing towards Shuri's taking over the Black Panther mantle.
It looked like that to me.
Following Yeah, which is again does happen in the comics. She does take over, but yeah, and then there was something else that was in there, and I have forgotten it because I'm an idiot. Anyway, it'll come to me.
I thought it was great.
Orphan Black. No, damn it.
I thought it was great. I thought it was excellent. For not having. We've got one Black Panther and then some pop-ups in some Guardians films, and nothing more from there. And I know the loss of Chadwick Tatum. Chadwick?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Was his
Chadwick Boseman.
Boseman. Channing Tatum. Chadwick Boseman. I'll get it all right. I'm doing a Pete. Put a big damper on.
No, that's fair. I'm going to cop that. Chadwick Boseman is his name.
Yes. Put a big dampener on doing a Black Panther 2, but they took on some time to work it all out and find the right time to do it. And it looks like they've fucking done it some justice. It looks excellent.
It is only a teaser trailer, but I think the hauntingly slow, no woman, no cry version of which
morphs into Kendrick Lamar by the end of it.
Yeah,
that was brilliantly edited.
And it is seamless as a morph, but there is some reinforcement going on in the themes of that song against what's going on in the movie, right? So they're still mourning the loss from the Black Panther whilst she takes on the mantle as Black Panther. I thought that was very neatly tied back into the lyrics from the song, and a completely original version of that song too.
The thing I was going to say before, and I just remembered it, is at the 133 mark, you see someone hammering a bit of metal, and they hammer out at Heart, so that is Ironheart. That's reference to Ironheart, so it sounds like she will be making her
debut
suit. Well, her suit at least in Wakanda, or would somehow be connected to that.
Yeah, right.
Which would make sense, Shuri'd probably be the only other person who could help make that.
Which where the technology needs to come from now that Iron Man's not around, right?
Yeah. And then there was you started to see more the Dora Milaje, which are the female warriors of the king. We actually see some of their the red ones are like the royal guards.
And then the blue ones.
The blue ones, yeah. So they that was a reference to they're involved in in a fight with Kang or something. So I think it's leaning more to that, given how Wakanda is so advanced, that they would have essentially a space program kind of thing. So we might see some more implications, kind of wider spread across the rest of the movies.
I think there's going to be some politics going on there because there's a split second just after your 1 minute 33 Ironheart reference where the Blues are fighting the Reds. So
it's just like the good old Cold War,
or the Civil War. The turncoats and all the redcoats. Anyway,
yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Geez, we managed to wring a lot of content out of a 2 minute 30 teaser trailer. But yes, I am looking forward to it as well. Still, it's not far off, right? It's November.
So
it's about 3 months, 4 months away. So
yeah.
Something much sooner is the I Am Groot miniseries, which is a five episode run on Disney Plus. That looks like it's live action, but mostly animated.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be terribly long episodes as well. I think they were meant to, because I think they showed the first one on the back of, they did a re-release of, they're doing a re-release of Spider-Man in cinemas in the US.
Okay.
And they're debuting the first episode as we went to see a Pixar film. There was a little Pixar short before it. So I think they're just shorts. They're just going to be little, hey, it's Groot running around the universe because he can.
It is an animated series, apparently. So,
yeah.
Vin Diesel and Brad Cooper are coming back for it, so they're taking it seriously, which is good. But 5 short episodes. Looks like they're all coming out on the August 10 too. So you're going to be able to.
They're only 5-minute episodes, so you'll be able to just smash through it.
Yeah, it's basically going
to
anthology. It's going to cover the him growing from the plant at the end of Guardians 2 through to the teenager in Guardians the plant at the end of Guardians 1 to the teenager in Guardians 2, right? Because he looks like a...
Oh, I think it's, it's more aimed at a younger audience, and it's, here you go, guys, we're releasing all this other stuff that's a bit more serious. Why don't we do something a bit just fun?
bit of fun, yeah.
Give some animators a chance to show off their skills, and here you go. You don't have to employ too many voice actors because he just says 3 words. Makes it pretty easy.
Well, but they got Vin Diesel in to say those 3 words the same as they did for the first 2 movies, so...
Yeah.
It might be easy to say, but actually I remember watching the behind the scenes from Guardians and the Vin Diesel shit that he had to go through to capture those 3 words through that first movie. Apparently it was pretty grueling for that guy. Came in like every day for, I think, 3 to 5 days in a row on stilt walker blades to kind of get into the idea. Vin Diesel, I'm talking about, the actor, was walking around in these lift blades, like mini pogo stick things, to get into the headspace of being a 7.5 foot tall plant creature, and had to record "I Am Groot" in a billion different inflections in like 7 languages in the space of a week. So,
good challenge.
Can't
Why was that
exactly
funny,
call
Dan?
Vin Diesel a fucking method actor. I don't think Vin Diesel walking in on big giant stilts qualifies him as up there with some of the...
I never said that. I never said he was a method actor.
Daniel Day-Lewis level, somehow. I think
Actually, interesting you say
or
that.
Heath Ledger.
They're all coming out and condemning method acting now. So many actors are coming out and saying it's no excuse for the fact you're a piece of shit. Like, stop using the excuse that you're getting into the character who,
and
to
sending
justify some
dead
of your
creatures
actions. Yeah.
in the post, which I think was Heath Ledger getting ready for Joker.
That was
Jared Leto.
Or was it Jared Leto? Sorry.
Yeah.
But he's not really an actor.
Yeah.
He's just a frontman for a band turned into an actor, right? So all the bad frontman for a band behavior is kind of carried through, I think.
I like Jared Leto.
Yeah, I've never have.
I don't mind him as an actor, but he's a bit of a...
There we go. Nice spectrum there on our thoughts of Jared Leto.
He's a bit of a... speaking of spectrum, Dungeons & Dragons, our final trailer for this episode. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, a.k.a. the only thing they stole was the whole concept of an MCU movie. Because that's all I got out of that fucking trailer.
I liked it.
Ironically,
I thought it was fun.
I called it early, right? So they've got a 90s metal backing track throughout the trailer. The comedy beats are very MCU stolen, kind of conceptually. I felt like they just make a D&D fucking movie. If you're going to do a D&D movie, make a D&D movie. Like bright, vivid color palette, interesting characters, interesting monsters. Don't turn it into an MCU flick. And then you look at who directed it. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, who wrote Spider-Man Homecoming and have been in the MCU the whole fucking time. And it's like, okay, so there's no surprise. Chris Pine, I still don't buy it. I'm with you, Dan. I was excited initially to hear that Chris Pine was in it, and you explained that you thought that was a bad idea and that it didn't really fit that IP, and I saw the trailer, and I'm kind of with you now. No,
see, I'm the other way around. Chris Pine is a bard. They couldn't have picked a better class for Chris Pine. Have a bard. Give him a lute.
I love Michelle Rodriguez. I think she's a great actress. But the idea of a party, so no one would sit down and play Dungeons and Dragons and have a party of 5 players all playing thieves. You just wouldn't do it. So they've already broken from...
But they're not thieves.
The source IP.
They steal things, but they're not all rogues. You've got the bard, you've got the druid, you've got the archer, you've got the fighter.
Okay, so
I think clear, Rodriguez might be the only one that's the... No, what...
an actual thief.
She might be the only rogue of the group.
And the bards, you could argue, are magical rogues because they play the same way that a rogue does, just with like magical stabbies instead of fucking blades. I don't know. I got that.
Scaling from what's Vox Machina? Is it? He's fucking straight out bard.
That's a very different kind of bard, though, and he is the epitome of what makes me laugh about fucking Critical Role. I love that fucking character in that series.
But they have their classes. They just happen to be their thing is stealing shit. They're a band of lovable misfits, which is exactly what D&D is.
Well, that's true. It's just I just found that I just hope
they're
that
on a
the
heist
trailer.
mission. Come on.
I hope that the trailer is a misrepresentation of let's try and cram as much recognizable D&D fanfare into a movie as possible instead of a plot. If it's both, I'm happy. If it's plot driven and cool, we get an Eye of the Beholder and cool, fine, no problem. Sorry, Eye of the Beholder, we get a beholder, fine. But if it's another World of Warcraft movie where it panders so hardcore to the fans that it forgets to include a plot for everyone else, I'm going to be really pissed off because this is the second D&D movie. I doubt we'll get a third if they flop this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold too high hopes for that plot.
And the real question is, did we need a D&D movie? Like, did we need it? Is there a gap for that in the market at the moment? I don't think there is.
I think we've got Vox Machina. That would have been more than enough.
We've already got the perfect D&D movie, Dan. It's called Lord of the Rings. Like, why do we need...
Let's not put Lord of the Rings, which was written in the 1930s, under the D&D banner. Thank you very much.
But what makes D&D...
Don't do it. You'll make me angry, and you won't like me when I'm angry.
What makes the D&D intellectual property good is that it stole its goodness from Lord of the Rings in terms of the pantheon and the concept of elves and dwarves, and it built upon it and turned it into a tabletop game that was successful. So I'm not actually taking the piss. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Lord of the Rings. I'm saying, why do you need to make a D&D movie? We've already got it in Lord of the Rings, which is the source IP that D&D stole from.
Stranger Things made it popular again.
Yeah, and Wizards of the Coast need to fucking cash the fuck in. Yeah,
probably. Yeah. More than anything. Also, Peter, I know you didn't mean it, but you also referred to the song playing in that trailer as a 90s metal song. It's Led Zeppelin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Shit, sorry. My bad.
I was going to say, it's like 7.
Yeah, okay. All right. This is 11% beer. Fuck you.
That's why I was just
thank you. Just letting you know. Yeah.
Catching you up.
Grew up on LZ, so...
Oh, I'm just surprised. Surprised it wasn't "We Will Rock You." So we'll wait for that in the next trailer.
I'm so glad that it fucking wasn't. I'm so glad that it wasn't, because that would have been. You know what? Fuck it. I'm not watching this movie. That's what that would have been.
What was there was the mage in it? What was he just in? He was in something else recently as well.
They've all been the tiefling druid girl was in it. Yeah. And the mage guy has been in something recently too. Yeah, I just can't remember what.
I didn't have room to put all of the major, like the party of 5.
He was in. I'm pretty sure he was the guy in Detective Pikachu.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I watched it.
It was him. Yep.
I did too. The first one, they've made a sequel now, the Pikachu movie, haven't they? Or is that not been released yet?
No, I don't.
I thought that was excellent, that first movie.
Justice Smith, that's his name. Justice Smith.
Yeah, so Sophia Lillis, the druid, Justice Smith, the sorcerer, Regé Page, the paladin, Michelle Rodriguez, the barbarian, and Chris Pine, the bard, and Hugh Grant, the rogue.
Oh, it's Hugh Grant. I didn't know Hugh Grant was
an actor I did not expect. Well, I mean, I don't know if he is either. He could be the bad guy, for all I know.
Yeah.
I get the feeling he would be more... It sounds like, because I don't think, like with you guys talking then about them all being thieves, it sounds like they've just been put on, it's a heist movie. Yeah. And he's just hired this party. So maybe I don't even know if that could be kind of classified as maybe like a dungeon master kind of thing, and like, because he's setting them out.
Could
like,
be,
maybe he's going by that rule.
I am surprised that they've included, like, at some of the inclusions. So they've got a tabaxi in there, which is the cat people. A tiefling you can at least directly relate to, right? It's a devil person. Tabaxi's kind of pushing it out there into pop out bad fantasy movie kind of territory pretty quickly.
I just want to know,
You know,
why
if
they
they
didn't change her skin color. Then it maybe would have been too much of a Marvel movie for the tiefling. But anyway,
there's wood off in there. Anyway, cool. So that's D&D. It's going to be interesting. I don't even know when D&D's due for release. Let me see. It's in post-prod. It's expected March 2023.
Chris Pine would make an excellent dandelion.
Oh, no, he's the bad guy.
Yes, he would have. Yes, he would have. But I'm also very, very happy with the actor that is playing Dandelion.
Yeah, well, he's
series.
Yeah, in that side of it. Yeah, no, he is excellent too. Yeah,
Witcher should be out soon too. The Blood Origin.
We were watching the Burn Butcher Burn episode today. God, you can sing that, dude.
it's good.
Every time.
When's the next season of Witcher out? It's got to be soon. I am drunk, so we are now just getting into random tangent
Pete's
territory.
Rambling tangents. Yeah,
we should move on to the spotlight. No,
Well,
actually,
it's your
Tom,
spotlight, son,
Tom,
so-
did you want to talk about your fourth beer?
I haven't cracked it yet. So no.
Will you let me know when you're ready, and if we don't get to it in time,
Yep.
that's on you. So our spotlights kind of be games that we love to go back to and why. So I know Dan likes to play Witcher 3 once every month. He just turns the page on his calendar and... Come on, like I wasn't going to fucking spike him like that after what he said before the episode started.
I think I've played 2 more than I've played 3. Honestly,
And you always talk about how many on my 42nd playthrough. I remember I noticed this new blade of grass for the first time. I'm sure you've kind of.
I've played Witcher 3 4 times. I've probably played 2. I'm thinking about going back and playing 2 again. Anyway, this is kind of a topic, but 2 is an excellent game.
It is a topic.
2 is a fucking amazing game, and that would be if now...
I've not played it.
Oh, and the only thing, it's on PC, and you can only get it on PC and Xbox. So
That's fine. I have a PC.
Yeah. But it's excellent. It's more linear than 3, because 3 was the first open world, but it's more open than 1. So 1, you were very confined to set areas. There was no... Actually, 2, there's no fast travel either. And it just really implemented some things a lot better than 1 did. And I still think 2 implements things better than 3 did as well. You have to prepare for fights. You can't quaff a potion halfway through a fucking fight. You have to meditate. You have to line up your potions. Okay, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need health regen over time. I'm going to need resistance to this. And I've got only 2 or 3 belt clips for bombs. That's all you can clip on. You can't randomly craft some more in the middle of thing and to drink some water and eat an apple and drink a swallow potion. You can't. Like, you've got to meditate. You've got to set it all up, and you do it in the semi-open world. And it had cinematic finishes, a lot more cinematic finishes than I think what 3 did. 3 just had sort of cut some guy's arms and limbs off. In 2, there was quite cinematic finishes where he would block, parry a blow, spin around, and then hit someone with Igni, the fire sign. He would do a whole bunch of stuff like that, and there was more diverse missions in 2. There was stopping a siege that was happening on Mahakam. There was a takedown a big fucking Kraken that was coming out of the water, and it was only half out of the water swinging its tentacles at you. I think 2 was actually the better game out of all 3 of them, but 3 was more sprawling because you had those big worlds, and it popularized because it was cross-platform. And it was at that time where the games...
I also think it's that kind of game design is more accessible to the average kind of... just happened across this game, and it's similar enough to other games that I can get into it. Holy shit, the IP is amazing. That's what made it kind of accessible, I think.
And I played 2 first, and then I went back to 1 and slogged through 1, and then went back and played 2 3 or 4 more times, and then 3 finally came out years and years afterwards. And 2, I'm going to stand by. I think 2 is the better game. I think it really is.
Fair enough.
It's fun.
So have you played 2 more than once?
Oh yeah, I played 2. Well, you have to play 2 more than once if you want to get everything, because you play the introductory prologue, and then you play the first semi-open world mission-based area, and then at the end of that, you have to pick a path. You have to go with Yorvith and the Scoia'tael, who's the rebel elves, or you have to go with what was he, the Foltest bodyguard? He turns up in the he turns up in 3. I can't remember his name, but you have to use these two paths, and they literally lead you on to do 2 different sides of a no man's land war. And you can't. There are story missions that take you across that no man's land, and you get to the other side. But the stories are completely different, and then it's
almost 2 games mashed into one.
Yeah, and then at the very end is you come back to a central point. So you play the same semi-open world area again, and it plays out really politically, and you have to make some real deep political choices with who you're going to align with, like Tom was asking the other day, whether you take the Witcher route and stay neutral and just go with whoever pays you, whether you take a moral ground, whether you take a ground that some people are going to get hurt that is ultimately better for the people of the area. There's many, many choices throughout too, and I still think much more than 3. And I just think it makes it a better game all across. The combat system's a little bit... It's still good. It's still good, but I think 3's combat system is a bit more fluid. But the combat system's still good and everything like that. I think 2's the better game, man.
Fair enough. Tom, have you... So you're playing Witcher 3 now.
Yes.
Have you played it before?
Yeah. I did my first playthrough, and now I'm going back and doing.
So this is your
death mode.
Yeah, okay. So it does fit into the main theme of the Spotlight games you're going back to.
Yeah, I always wanted to go back and play it on Death March, but then I got into the Gwent side of it very late, and it took me forever to get on top of it. And now I'm got to do the Gwent part, and I'm loving it.
The card game is quite brilliant.
Once you understand it, it's like, but there's been ones where like I've only just scraped through like last card down, and then they've still got one, and it's a clear weather, and it's just like, fuck yes, I need you to like, have nothing there. That's great. Yeah,
they ended up making the Gwent because they did the like the iPhone app collectible card game to compete with like Hearthstone from World of Warcraft. But I'm sure they did a Kickstarter campaign for the physical game as well.
I've got all 4 physical decks. They came with you got 2 decks with each physical copy of the DLCs.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they did a Kickstarter campaign to expand that into a full-blown game. Because those 4 decks are pretty limited, right? They're not the...
No, they're the full deck. It's a full game. There's more cards in the physical deck than there is in the digital Witcher 3 game.
Game card deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a whole separate game that's Gwent on the PlayStation. I mean, you can get it on any platform, but there's a whole Gwent game.
Yeah.
So the Kickstarter that they ran was for the board game, the Witcher board game, not the Gwent game.
No, that's different. I know because I bought that. I'm waiting for the Kickstarter board game to be shipped to me, which is coming soon, actually. They keep having to rebuild or re-engineer the cardboard box it comes in. That seems to be the delay at the moment because they can't fit all the shit in the box.
I don't know where my Gwent cards are, actually.
There's supposed to be 5 decks. There's 460 cards total, so...
Well, they introduced the new deck in the DLC, the Skellige deck.
I have no idea where my cards are.
Anyway, that was a long rant about Witcher, but we're meant to be talking about games we come back to online. Like, across the board.
Tom, you talk about Ocarina of Time, because you have talked about that a few times, while I take a 2-second bio break.
He's going to go pee.
That is what a bio break means, Tom. Thank you. Although, from Dan's blank look, I'm glad you explained it.
Well, I've never ever heard someone say, I've got to go for a bio break. I need to go to the toilet. I need to piss.
It's an online video game reference, because if you are playing like a World of Warcraft style massive online game, you say bio break, that means you're taking a piss. Standard terminology.
Sure. You go take your lead, man. That was a very disappointed head shake from you, Peter.
That was. You are in trouble, sir.
Very, very disappointed.
Yep, you're in trouble. Yeah, Ocarina of Time. It's just one that, like, I mean, this was also, I haven't played in a while because I don't have a 64 anymore. I haven't. They remade it for the DS, and I'm sure I can get a version of it on the Switch. But whether it's that DS 3D remake or the original N64 Ocarina of Time, but it still stands to me as it was and still is one of the most perfect games I've ever played. Especially for when it came out. It was like, yeah, just the way you, like, you know, it's not the biggest world, but it's just perfectly enough sized. Like, it, you know, when you had to run from one side of the map to the other for certain missions that were timed, it felt like, yeah, that's an appropriate amount of distance I have to cover. And yeah, I don't know how many times I've started and finished Ocarina of Time over the years. Obviously, that was usually in my younger years because I didn't have money to buy new games every other week and didn't have services like, you know, like PSplus that drop new games every month. So it was a very, very well-worn cartridge by the end of its life before it got I think my dad's got the 64. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that's probably where that started, I guess. The idea of going back to a game. Like, I can tell you the story from start to finish, you know, not quickly, but like I still know everything that happens in that game back to front. But it still brought me joy to be running around, and, you know, I think the most annoying level is still Jabba Jabba's belly when you're going for the third stone in the Zora's kingdom. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was just this red pulsating world. It always just I was like, fuck, I gotta get Jabba Jabba's belly. Fuck, why? Never sat with me, but yeah. That's definitely where that started for me, the idea of going back and playing a game repeatedly that wasn't multiplayer. Like, you know, I wouldn't count GoldenEye in that because, you know, you just always sat down and had 4-player runs in Temple, slappers only. That's where it's, you know, that's where men were made, damn it, back in the day. But then there's only a few other games really that I think, but again, it came down to being younger and not having the cash available to go out and buy new games when I needed something new to play. So it's like, well, I'll go back and play that. And different styles of game as well. So I played through the God of War series, like all three, the first three. I played them all like 6 times. You know, back starting on the PS2. Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, which was the turn-based like Final Fantasy game. I played that start to finish probably a good 6 or 7 times. Being, you know, obviously just being a Lord of the Rings nut, that worked for me as well. And then I guess more recently, like with the lockdown, I got able to go back and play some games I hadn't played in forever and see how they held up, like the BioShock series.
Which we talked about not too long ago, I think, on the podcast.
Well, yeah, because I played 1, 2, and 3.
And everyone was hanging shit on me that I've never really played them.
Yeah, you should play them. They're good. They're good. But yeah, like just seeing how they held up because they were PS3 titles. I think
first one, yeah, they
still hold up. I'm pretty sure they're on PS3. They are getting on, yeah. And then I guess more recently, the only other game that I've really multiple playthroughs of it, that's not stealing some that are on Dan's list there, is Last of Us 1. I've played that a number of times.
Still never finished the first one. I loved the game. It was a masterpiece. It was clear that it was a masterpiece. And I got distracted. I think I was probably sent overseas for a work trip for like 2 weeks, and I got back and I just didn't have the mental space to get back into it and just never did.
Yeah.
Beautiful game, though.
Yeah, the first encounter with those clickers when you had headphones on, that still sticks with me. That was just a moment. Like,
as is the whole prologue sequence. Still made me, like, I've watched that sequence 2 or 3 times. It still makes me fog up every time.
Yeah.
talk about an opening for a video
I
game.
still, I think I've mentioned it on here before, but I still remember going to LA and seeing my cousin and him telling me about this game that was about zombies, but it's all about, like, you know, there's this fungus that gets into an ant's head. It's like those sort of zombies, not traditional zombies. I'm like, okay, it sounds cool, but like, what's the game going to be like? And then Last of Us came out. I'm like, fuck, okay, rightio.
Broke the world, yeah.
Really did,
Yeah.
But what would be, if you had to pick one game to go back to tomorrow, Tom, what would it be?
Just before you
don't
answer
do
that,
that.
Tom,
That's me.
like, I wanted to.
Yeah, I need time to think.
I wanted to draw a line of distinction, if you two will agree, that this isn't.
Yep.
The topic's not about nostalgia, because we do go back to games due to nostalgia. Like, I'll go back and play Sid Meier's Pirates for like the 5th or 6th time because it's a piece of shit game. It was re-released for PS Vita, and you can now get like an emulator for free. Because it reminds me of being a kid and playing that game. This is about why, you know, what games are so fucking great that you have to go back and play them because they're great, as opposed to they scratch that itch of reminding you.
Why do you need to differentiate the two? You play
Because we've waxed lyrical about nostalgia in so many podcast
Fair
episodes. We have made that a major topic a few times this season alone. Is you know what? Anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. And I kind of said that about Ocarina of Time. For me, it was just like, it was the perfect game for the time. And it still holds up. Like, it's definitely one that I would, probably of that list, I would, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go play Ocarina tomorrow. Yeah. Just because it was deep. There was like a perfect sized map. It was just, it was an engaging story. The music's beautiful. Like, and I'm watching this dude on YouTube who's currently rebuilding the whole thing in Unreal Engine 5. And I'm like, every time an update comes up, I'm like, yeah, that gets half an hour of my day. How good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess out of that list of games, that would be the one. Yeah, Ocarina, just for the way it was, like, especially for what, 96 it came out. Yeah, like, incredible for its time. Yeah. But I've just rabbled on. So
Peter,
someone else has
spit it
go
out.
on.
Dan, you can talk about nostalgia if you want. Like, I'm just, it's more like Witcher 2. Everything you just said about Witcher 2 and everything we've talked about collectively, the three of us, about Witcher 3, isn't because it represents an era of personal time for us. It's because the game itself is fucking brilliant and worth replaying.
Yeah,
That's kind of the distinction.
I'm going to talk about my game after you talk about yours.
So I've gone back to play Divinity Original Sin 2, which is a game that you and I played together, Dan, online for ages. Like, we must have played that game on and off for 12 months and only got halfway through and put that down. And the last time I played, based on my save game, the last time we played it was 2018, like the very beginning of 2018. And I went back and I'm like, I'm hankering for a turn-based RPG, Dungeons and Dragons style crawler game, and Divinity is, I mean, and we have talked about that on this podcast years and years ago. DOS 2 is such a brilliant implementation of that system that they then, Larian Studios, went on to do Baldur's Gate 3, which we're still waiting on release. I think that's due next year now.
Yeah.
But although you're playing early access at the moment. So I've gone back to play Divinity Original Sin 2, and that's what I've been just completely enraptured by over the last few weeks. Is the game, like the combat mechanics, the complexity of the elements mixing together, you know, water on the ground, add lightning, you get shocking water on the ground that can shock your opponents. The narration and the voice acting is fucking hilarious. Like, it takes the piss out of itself while still being quite a serious IP. And the storyline itself is really engaging. It's an interesting story to play through. I don't think... The reason I wanted to play it is because I don't think there's much in the market right now that is like that. You have to go back. Or wait for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really much out there at the moment that'd be turn-based, that kind of stuff, yeah.
I mean, it's real time until you get into combat, and then it becomes turn-based. But it's a strategic game where, like Dan, you were saying, you kind of need to know your enemy before you get into the fight, and you need to prepare. And whilst the preparation's different from Witcher, you're not, pre-drinking buff potions and those sorts of things. You are memorizing the right spells to pave the way for you to be successful in that combat. You need to know, okay, I'm fighting somebody who's got, 3 wizards and a rogue. There's no fighter. Okay, I don't need to counter a tank. I need to counter someone who's going to be invisible until he stabs me in the fucking back, and then 3 casters. So buff magic armor, which will protect you from the casters, with a little bit of physical armor for the invisible guy that's going to stab you in the back. You have to think about that kind of stuff. It's quite tactical in that sense.
Yes, it's a very good game. It's a good story. It's good, like you said, voice acted. It's across the board. I wish they hadn't have gotten rid of their scissor paper rock determination thing from the first one. So, yeah,
from the first game.
I like that little mechanic in deciding.
I also. Sorry,
just for Tom, that was something when you were playing multiplayer in the first one, was if you both picked a dialogue option and you would play scissor, papers, rock if it was two polar opposite. Was that what it was? To see what dialogue option got put forward to that NPC to then forward the conversation or end up in a fight.
So if an NPC asked the party a question and Dan's 2 characters said, I agree, and Pete's 2 characters said, I disagree, that goes into rock, paper, scissors as to what the response back to the NPC is. And fucking hell, it had some funny results sometimes. You
had to play rock, paper, scissors every single conversation?
We played a lot.
Actually, reasonable amount.
Yeah.
I only found out today, and I am pretty upset, because I'm trying to do I was trying to do a single run platinum run through of the game, and like Divinity Original Sin 1, the platinum requires you to play the game in honor mode, the hardest difficulty, and it is a very steep ramp from normal to honor mode, from tactician to honor mode.
Yep.
And it involves permadeath. So you get one save file. Ooh. There's like quick save and save are the same thing. If one of your party members, so the game's designed around you having 4 characters in the game.
Oh, I think you've told us.
Yeah, I told you around DOS 1, Divinity Original Sin 1. You play as 4 different characters, of various different D&D style classes. If one of those characters dies in combat, it auto-saves. And because you've only got one slot, you can't just load the combat from the start and not have that character die.
Yeah.
If you party wipe, it deletes your save file. You start the fucking game again. And this is a 200-hour plus game.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can die doing dumb shit that you never really thought that you could possibly, like, you never sensed any danger. Going into fight, into combat, you might die, and you prep, or you out-level it. But I almost party wiped last night because I saw there was a rune that was worth maybe 5 gold I didn't need right next to some lava, so I had one of my 2 characters. I'm doing an honor mode run-through, and I thought I'd make it even more difficult for myself. So instead of having 4 people in my party, I'm playing two people in my party with the Lone Wolf perk, which means that they're supposed to be more powerful than a normal member of a 4-person party. You can play as 4 or you can play as 2. If you play as 2, then they get perks for not having the full complement of 4.
They get a buff.
You get a few buffs. But you don't get as much versatility because there's not 4 of you. You can't have a rogue and a mage and a fighter and an archer. You've got 2. So yeah, I teleported my character right next to the lava, and I miscalculated, and she landed in the lava, which is instant death. And I'm like, that's okay. I can res her. Oh, I can't quite reach her. I'll teleport my second character down. It wasn't last night, it was the night before because I was a bit inebriated and we weren't out for your party, Tom. And yeah, I party wiped and had to go back to a USB file save because the only way to work around permadeath is to every few hours you stop, close the game, copy your save file from your PlayStation to a USB key, and then pull the USB key out of the USB port because it'll delete it off that too.
That's cruel.
That's pretty
That's
hardcore.
cruel.
So I found out today, unfortunately, that I made a silly mistake right at the very start of the game that means that I can't do a Platinum 1 playthrough run. Everything's engineered around play the game once in the most hardcore difficulty and you get all the trophies. I didn't realize there was a silly distinction in character generation that meant that there's one trophy that you cannot get on my run through.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to play the whole fucking game again. Thankfully, I can play it in the dumbest difficulty, and I might try and do like a speed run. The world record is 19 minutes for the game as a speed run from start to finish. And I only have to get 3/4 of the way through to get challenged for this dialogue between the two characters to get the trophy I'll be missing. So
19 minutes?
19 minutes for a 200-hour game. Do they clip? Like
they use
are they
so
clipping through the world,
Larian
or-
Studios. There are exploits in the game. There's no question about that. There's stuff in there that obviously wasn't designed to work the way that it does at times. For example, if you engage in dialogue with the big bad, like the leader of a party, so your character might walk up to a group of bad guys or a group of characters that are neutral, and it will automatically engage your main character in dialogue. And at the end of that dialogue, they'll either be friendly or you'll be fighting, right?
Yeah.
Whilst your main character's in dialogue, your secondary character can start wailing hell on that person that's talking to you. And until you end the dialogue, they just take it. So you can kind of exploit that mechanic, and they'll start with one attack worth of damage. It's not like you can just kill them outright and you end the dialogue with your main character and they just die, but you can exploit that that mechanic. But this guy's obviously... I haven't watched the speedrun video. It's on YouTube. It's 19 minutes long and he holds a world record. Yeah. The teleport pyramid, Stan. Apparently he puts all his points in strength and telekinesis and just pegs the fucking teleporter pyramid as far down the dungeon as he can and then teleports to himself, like to the pyramid, and then throws it again. And he does that for the whole fucking game. Just avoids all combat, basically. Anyway, that's a game I went back to after 4 and a bit years of not playing. I went back because there isn't really anything in the market at the moment that is similar, and I really wanted that kind of tactics style game. Dan?
Mine's pretty easy. Super Mario 3. Fucking love it. Go back to it any day of the week. Happily sit there for hours, and I'm fucking terrible at it. And I'll just happily pump lives through that game until I'm
So you don't have to put the dollar coins in the machine. It's all good.
Fucking love Super Mario 3. I think it's fantastic. I just I never I played enough of the first one. And there's something weird about the numbering system. There is no 2 or something, or I don't know how that works. Tom, do you know how that works?
We talked about that in an old episode.
There was Super Mario. There was
Something like
Super
that,
Mario World.
They did. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great, awesome platformer. I think it's got a wide variety of different ways to finish levels and secrets to find, and you can speed run it. You can turn into the raccoon and completely fly over a fucking level. You can do all sorts of shit. I think it's great. I think it's an awesome game. I think it's just a really... I mean, God, it's the original platformer, like modern day side-scrolling platformer style. Yeah. So I think it's great. Fantastic. Brilliant. If you're too young and listening and you've never played Super Mario 3, go and buy that on your Switch.
Play it.
Yeah. Definitely. Short, sweet, done. Next.
We started early so we could finish early. Fuck off. We're done. Bye.
You give me shit about being an
No,
old
we're not
man.
at mic drop time. It's only...
Well, I'm going to quickly review my last beer before
Yes,
we do.
please do that.
Because I did just
Please
crack
do.
it.
And we
The last beer I've chosen for the night, which will be probably something I'll take with me back to the couch so I can continue playing Witcher 3, is Brackets Fresh
I've got
Static.
that in the
It's a 8% double IPA. Chinook, Simcoe, and Citra hops. And they've just described it as, using some of their original hazies. It does pour quite thick and golden. It did have a lovely foamy white head that has since dissipated as I've been slowly sipping in it, and it's been just sitting there. But yeah, it's what those hops are known for. It's got a big tropical juicy hit from the Citra. You get a bit of that pine from the Simcoe, and it's Bracket. They know what they're doing. They when it comes to a hazy style beer, which is still pretty for me remarkable for such a young brewery. Testament to Mike's brewing skill. And yeah, it's a nice solid 8%er. That's not too much of a whack of booze to the face. It is, I'm not saying sessionable, but it is
at 8%. You'd hope
smooth. It's very smooth. Yeah,
but it hides the
8%,
booze
it's one
well,
of
is
those
what
ones.
you're saying.
I wouldn't say it hides the booze. You know the booze is there, but it's not a burning booze sensation. It is it is gradual. It's very well done. I'll give that a solid 4.5. Well done,
Nice.
Bracket. Give yourselves
Very
a pat on the
good.
back. I've had a fair few of those their IPAs, and this one it's not that over hit of sweetness, which is good. Tends to
Understand
happen
what
on
you're
those
saying.
double
Yeah,
hazies.
yeah.
Yeah.
They try and it's almost like they're
Yeah.
trying to bury the ABV in sugar. Yeah.
Sweetness. Yeah.
Cool. I think we'll quickly finish with Are You Winning Son? There might be some overlap here. Danny, you winning son?
Yeah, and then you were just talking about
Are you winning,
Get
Sean?
back to the
there
run
not
sheet.
being a Divinity Original Sin similar something. I worded that really badly. It's getting late. Brain's shutting down.
It's all good.
The dungeon of, I can't even pronounce that, Nahulbuk.
Nahulbuk.
Yep. It
Bjork.
is the
Yep.
Dungeon of Nahulbuk, the Amulet of Chaos. And it's a turn-based, D&D classed, super comical, off-the-wall, the party's constantly talking at each other and making comments and silly, dumb shit. Like, to the point where you don't control any single one party member. You control... Well, you do. I lie. You do control a single party member, but you can switch between
Don't like
any
that.
party member at any time you like. You don't have to have one party member running free around in your free roam areas and everything like that. And I was running the party through...
Cartoon style graphics.
Oh,
by the look
100%.
of it.
Yeah,
Like
and
very-
they look like animated minis.
like Pixar characters.
And I was
yeah.
running them through a hallway in the dungeon and ran through a trap that I didn't detect because I wasn't using the thief. And I've gone, shit. And then the little Scottish dwarf in there's gone, shit. And I'm like, okay.
That's fucking great.
It was just a complete mimicry. I was just a little bit quicker than he was. And it's really comical.
XCOM engine.
Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And it's rock paper shotguns, so that makes sense.
The combat system's in it great. It's all turn based. You get one turn and one move. It's not an action point system like Divinity Original Sin, so you are limited to what you can do per.
Well, that's the D&D
it
engine,
is.
right?
Your special skills, you've got a skill tree that goes up. You drop all your standard RPG stuff. But all the items are named crazy out there things. The personalities of every character in there is just dialed up to 11 completely. It's just the little Scottish mining dwarf is always bickering with the blonde bimbo elf ranger. The all blonde archer she is. The big dumb ogre guy carries all the goods in his backpack on his bat, and he's got a pot as a helmet or a strainer or something like that. The barbarian is...
You need a colander.
I picked up a colander.
Yeah.
I picked up a colander yesterday. The barbarian. The
Upgrades.
barbarian is Conan. He's a blonde Conan, always talking to Crom, talking about the riddle of steel. There's a point where you go into a tavern in the dungeon, and there's a mysterious ranger sitting in the corner smoking a pipe, and they make all these Lord of the Rings references, and it's just complete pop culture references, wall to wall pop culture references. It's like fucking Discworld meets D&D. It's completely off the wall, and it's super fun. The combat is very challenging at times, and then other times you like the other guys might just completely whiff it and miss and everything like that. But you've got to, when you move, you have to align your character to where you want him facing, him or her, and if you don't, like, the other characters can literally walk behind your character and get a backstab in because you haven't aligned your character in that right direction. And your character, there's a support mechanic in it where the characters next to each other, if they're both facing the same, it's not just about being in the space next to it. You actually have to be facing the same enemy for them to support the attack on that particular enemy. So I like all that extra bits, those extra mechanics. You've got when bad things happen within the combat, or something unfortunate happens during the combat, you've got a little meter in your bottom corner that winds itself around 4 extra actions that are a blessing, I say that in quotation marks, from one of the gods. And you can use them to do certain things, but you just know it's going to come back to bite you in the ass later on. Like, you use it too much, and they're going to you're going to be in a thrall to this god at some stage for using it. But going through a dungeon at one point, and I came on a room that had a goblin running Wheel of Fortune, and you stood there and played Wheel of Fortune. The little Scottish dwarf wanted to play Wheel of Fortune because he wanted to win more gold. Okay, so yeah, it's across the board. Yeah, so if anybody like the sound of Divinity, or you've played Divinity earlier, turn-based combat, I mean, this is super fun. Like, a lot of the negative reviews I read on Steam were people saying, I got sick of like the over comical banter between the characters, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, you should know this going in. You know this from the first 10 seconds you start playing that it's over the top. Yeah.
Aha, it's not just me.
Pete's gone.
Hi, Pete.
We have control.
Hey, look at me. I am
fucking the company we use for recording needs to be replaced, I've decided, because that's fucking bullshit. Originally the Dungeon of is a role-playing parody. What was that movie that was in where he couldn't pronounce the word, so he just kind of skipped it?
Evil Dead.
It was Evil Dead.
Darkness.
Yeah, that's right. When he was reading from the you had to recite from the Necronomicon.
Been reused a couple of times.
Role-playing parody that started as an audio saga. So it must have been some sort of podcast or similar kind of format, audio format. It's really interesting.
That is interesting.
Speaking of games that are kind of similar, because I did some looking up, because I have been waiting for Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to play that multiplayer online. I'm excited for that idea, because the personalities plus Larian's studio personality, because Larian made Divinity and is making Baldur's Gate 3. I know that's going to be going to be hilarious. Drunken stupidity playing that game. I wanted something in the meantime. There's a game, D&D Dark Alliance, on PlayStation 4 and 5. Yeah. No?
Nah, it got really, really, really horrible.
Yeah, that's recent.
Yeah, it is very recent, but apparently
it got ripped to shreds.
Yeah. Yep, and then fell into oblivion.
IGN 4 out of 10. Yeah, okay. That's it.
Yeah, 4 out of 10.
PC Gamer gave it 82 out of 100, though.
Fucking hell. Yeah,
I might check it out anyway, just because I'm a stickler for punishment.
You really are drunk, Pete.
Why am I slurry?
You have a look at have a look at Beer 4 on the run sheet.
Oh. It wasn't.
Dan's not drinking. That's funny.
Right. Well, that's everything I wanted to say. If you guys wanted to add any more to Are You Winning, Son? Otherwise, I'm signing off.
I did, because I want
please.
to talk about my Doom 2016 run.
Yeah. Didn't we talk about that last
epic.
episode, though?
No, because I hadn't done the UAC mission on Ultra Nightmare. That was permadeath. That's, normally you die in Doom and you go back to a save point or a spawn point or whatever.
Yep.
Not in Ultra Nightmare mode. You start the level from the beginning, so you get to save every mission. So you have to do every mission once. You get one shot to do it. And as an indication of how much damage each hit takes, the imp, which is actually no, the Forsaken, the zombie soldier, the bait, half your health, one hit.
Yeah.
You basically get 2 hits. You have to do a no hit run mode. Armor, when you're in the smallest bit of armor you normally pick up in the the easiest mode is 5. It goes down to 1, and there's 3 pieces of armor you can pick up in the first mission. And then you get the full suit armor power up. That would be worth normally between 25 and 50 armor points. It's worth 10, so you're not getting much. The health as well. The health pickups aren't their normal. They're dialed right back. So you need to focus on your glory kills, because you need to get as much health as possible from every little small hit you get. And for the this is the last mission I did for the platinum, and you only have to do the first mission. Thank God, because I could not have played that entire game, because it's so hectically fast paced.
Yeah,
it took me a good 30 tries to get this, and I just had to get into that rhythm. And I just played the game through again to go for all the collectibles and find all the little Doom guys and power ups and stuff. And I did that on the easiest mode, because I was I'm just going to smash through it. Forgot how much fun I was having. I was just maybe we'll turn up the difficulty a little bit on this one just because it's fun. And then I went back to this. I was like, oh shit! I thought I was going to breeze through this, but Jesus, that's a kick to the face. But I've managed to do it on a PlayStation controller as well. So
yeah, that's what
Very
I
impressive.
get fucking on a controller. Jesus Christ!
And you only have the shotgun. You have the shotgun and the pistol. That's the only two. So it's not like you can sit back and snipe behind cover. You have to.
You're lucky.
It's just balls to the wall.
Yeah,
it's just balls to the wall. Kind of make it up as you go. Action. It embodied the original Doom, right?
Yeah. Because you cannot stop. You stop, you die.
I might try and put as much of your Platinum Run video footage into the YouTube episode as I can, because it was quite a long.
I did put it up on YouTube. Yeah,
it's kind of a long video sequence, but I'll try and cram as much.
You don't need to. You only need to do the first bit. That's the most hectic part. That's the most hectic, because there's nothing to assist you. When you get halfway through the level, you get a power up, so you can get the explosive explosive round shotgun.
The shotgun, yeah.
So you get a grenade launcher on the bottom of your shotgun. So that's that helps massively. But that first one, it's just you've just got to just keep running and keep shooting and hope that you hit. And if you get stuck on a little bit of rock, then someone slices you from the back, and it's just fuck. And so that was my achievement of the last couple of weeks, and now I'm thoroughly back into The Witcher. I've just finished the Bloody Baron, and
the Bloody Baron.
I've gotten to Novigrad now. And I'm, which is great, because Emma's watching The Witcher again while I'm and then she's like, all right, you can take over. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to play The Witcher, because we're fucking Geralt household at the moment.
I need to try and dig up, because I only recently discovered through conversations, I think maybe on the podcast, that I'd never finished the Skelegrad DLC.
The 2 DLCs.
Yeah.
No, the Toussaint.
No, it was the
both.
Toussaint. It was the French Quarter is the bit that I missed. Yeah.
The Gauntero Dim one, and then the
Blood and Wine.
Fairy Tale. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to find my. Hopefully, PSplus saved my PlayStation 4 save game, so if I load it up on PS5, I can pick up where I left off. But I'm going to have to relearn the combat system and the interface and all the rest of it, because I haven't played the game in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I've definitely found I'm playing it differently this time. I think the first time I ran through it, because it was interesting you said that so many people, you found the gameplay of Witcher 3 to be more accessible. The amount of people I know who like started it and then had to put it down and came back to it and then started it and came back.
Really?
I was one of them. It took me like 3 or 4 plays to get really sink my teeth in. But, you know, once I did, I was like, yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. And then I played it with the 2 DLCs as well. So, like, really
I don't remember there
it.
being a hard conversion for me to kind of settle into that game.
No, I don't think it's necessarily hard. It's just for some people, it just didn't
gel. To me, coming off the back of like Skyrim VR, it really wasn't that hard a conversion.
Yeah, but you get thrown into a world that is part
well established.
10 of the story, the books, and then 3 games. Like, you're being thrown into this story with characters you don't know, you have no relationship, that are already well on their journey. So the 2 characters that you start with have spent 350 years together. So,
but I didn't find that jarring, because that was Witcher 3 is my first foray into the Witcher universe. So
yeah, but some people,
no, I know a fair few people who they couldn't get into it, but then they put it down, come back to it like 6 months later, and they're like, oh yeah, and then no, maybe not, and then I better go finish it. I got nothing else to play, and it's like, oh no, this is the time. And it seems to be everyone was on a rule of 3. Like, once they got their third, they're like, nah, okay, I'm going to stick with it now. I will finish it, the whole thing. Yes, I've definitely played some missions differently. I got to do this time because of I changed my Witcher 2 choices at the start, because you had to load in your Witcher 2 story if you want.
Yeah.
I finally got to do the Letho mission, so that was pretty cool. That was a little fun one.
Letho's great.
But yeah.
Letho's fucking awesome. I loved him in 2. He's, just the cinematic. They released Witcher 2, and then later on they came back about 6 months later and introduced a different opening
Just
cinematic,
the ice boat,
which was Letho on the boat. Yeah. And that didn't come out until like 3 or 4 months after Witcher 2 came out, and I'm like, fuck, Letho's a badass. Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, no. So yes, it's good to go back. It's a good world. It's a very well built world. It's just fun.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
I think that'll wrap us for the episode.
That'll wrap us.
Lovely.
Thank you very much for joining us yet again. I'm quite busy now, so I think it might be bedtime. Early bed.
It's gone real soft.
You led it with love song dedications. He's outroing love song dedications.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just in a really nice, warm, mellow place.
Yeah, you can tell you're warm, fuzzy.
That one drop 72-word fucking beer name just really took me out for the night. It's fantastic.
Well done, One Drop. You've done it again. You dropped them in 1 after 2.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
And sorry for the broken schedule. Our lives have been pretty crazy between the 3 of us. So this whole season,
you're lucky to get anything at all. The lot of you. We're a gift to you. Oh, Jasper's awake.
Jasper's going to end the episode. Good night.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.